a question. Yeah, you're live.
How we doing, fellas?
Hey.
Welcome to Bengals Army. You didn't do none of that awesome stuff?
Dude, not yet, man.
It's
So
been a while, right? You're out of practice again.
dude, I know. So yeah, we've been out of practice. It's been a few weeks since we've done this. Tony and Chris ain't going to join us today, but here in a couple days we'll have the gang back together. But I got Mon and Dale on, so super appreciated. I don't even know what I'm saying, man. I'm tired.
We got you.
But I appreciate you guys coming on.
Hey,
Dude, I always appreciate you inviting me, man. It makes me feel good, and thank you.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a
for
podcast
sure.
slut, so I just bounce around, hop around.
Yeah, I know. You are a little bit of a hoe, Dale.
Yeah,
Dale, you're an icon, dude. You're an icon. You are. You're like all
Wouldn't
over
go that
Twitter,
far.
man. You're a machine.
He's got the headband too, bro. That headband before it was cool. He was rocking them.
Joe Burrow took it from me for the record.
Yeah. He watched the show and said, "Dude, that looks nice. I need to get in on that."
Like, I want to be as cool as that guy one day. Well, Joe, you're getting there. You're getting there
No.
one day.
But yeah, I'm out of the loop, guys. For real. We were gone for a few weeks, had no service, was doing some training and stuff, so that was the reason we were kind of on our hiatus. It wasn't really that we wanted to be. It was just we didn't have the time and we didn't have no internet to put anything out to everybody. But yeah, I need filled in. There's a bunch of juicy stuff between extensions, maybe surprising extensions that we didn't know about but are happy about on the defensive side of the ball. How you guys feeling about Trey? How surprised was you about Trey?
Oh, you go, Mon.
You know what? I actually was. He's one of my favorite Bengals, but I thought, maybe this is going to be his last year. Next year might be the odd guy out because he's going to make. I think he was going to make 17 million in his last year, having to sign Higgins and all these other guys and Chase next year. But I'm happy with it because he's productive and he made the top 100 that NFL list and he's our best pass rusher. And buddy, we need cover corners and pass rushers in this league. And I'm glad we got him for another year. Dusty, I love your tats, man. I didn't notice that. Check out your sleeves. Lift your arms up.
Yeah.
All tatted
Have you
up.
ever seen those?
Dude, that's fancy. Heck yeah, that's nice.
Got some wolves, a little eagle action.
You
up
got
there.
like this much room left on that arm there, don't you?
Well, with certain things I do, you can't have it below certain points.
Oh, so that's your cutoff spot.
Yeah, so things were a little weird at a certain point with tattoos and regulations when I had it. So I was pushing the limit where I had it right there, but I was like, that would be good enough. But I do have a little room down there that I'm gonna do some work too. I get a little leeway now, I think. But
Yeah,
Mon, I
been in
agree
for
with
long.
you.
You should be able to get to full sleeve by now. It should be a rule. As longer you're there, the further down.
I'm grandfathered in, baby. I do what I want. I don't say that. Jesus, somebody's gonna be watching this.
Yeah.
Oh.
This guy thinks he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, you're gonna get called into the office because of us. Sorry.
He was joking. It's a joke.
It's just a joke.
Love it.
No, I got a lot of good people with me. They normally they might tease me right now just for joking around, give me a hard time. They're like, no, I'm just joking with you. But I do that to everybody too, so it works out.
But the trade did surprise me. I'll speak on it real quick because, I just had done a show at 3:30 that day, and I don't know, it was like 4. I don't know, it was probably like 5 o'clock or so when that news hits, and I said on the show we were just talking about the defensive line depth in general, and I'm like, Trey, I think he'll play out the next year, but I don't see him here after that. Obviously they drafted Murphy, they've got Osai coming on, and then just to make me look like an idiot, they go ahead and extend him that same day. So. Yeah, I was definitely surprised. I thought if anybody was going to be a surprise candidate beyond the Wilson, Higgins, Burrow, that it was probably going to be DJ Reader. So when it was Henderson instead of him, that was definitely a little surprising. But I still don't know. I still wonder if they're trying to fit DJ in because they didn't draft anybody
Yeah.
to potentially replace him yet.
That's a good point, man, because I think DJ Reader, he's like the Joe Burrow to our defense. He's that important. And you're right. We don't really have anybody behind him. And I hope they re-up him in at least another year or two.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's probably, if he hits the market, he could probably get 3 or 4 elsewhere. And the Bengals, where he's getting close to that 30 age, they're more probably like, oh, we'd love to extend you. Even the Trey thing where they did a +1 onto his deal or +2, years onto his current deal. So I'm sure that may be a bit of it. But DJ being maybe unselfish, and they did give him 50-something million. That's change your life money that he got in his last contract. So maybe, and we see, I didn't think Logan, if we want to transition to the next defensive signing, I didn't think Logan was going to be under 10 million per. I thought he'd be closer to the at least 12 million mark. We've seen some guys getting 18 and 20, and we've seen the market where some guys are getting 7 or 8. I didn't think he would come in for a 4-year extension. I think it was 37 and a half or somewhere around that mark. So I didn't see him being under 10 million, but I'm ecstatic they were able to get that done for the price they did too.
Yeah, me too. I'm really surprised, honestly, with Trey, because Trey will he be 31 when this extension's up, or 30?
I think 31. I think 31.
Yeah.
So I think that was big speculation. Sorry. I think that was big speculation why they thought it wouldn't get an extension.
Right. So have you guys heard how much it was, what they paid him on the extension? Because, like I said, I didn't have service. I've been out of the loop, so I've been listening to some shows the past couple of days. But overall, like I don't think I've heard what he got.
I think they added 1 year, a 1-year extension for $21 million with $8 million up front, $8 million up front. So he gets an $8 million raise this year, and they added another year, basically at 21. When you think about it, the salary cap keeps on expanding and getting bigger. 21 million in 2 years could be a bargain for a defensive end, and
absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll see. And what Dale was saying about Logan, man, you got to be kidding me. They got him for under $10 million. If you look, him and Pratt combined make 17. I think that's right around what Jesse Bates got with Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And look what Roquan Smith got with the Ravens. Roquan Smith's getting $20 million a year. Listen, Roquan Smith's a good player. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say he sucks, but is he $11 million more better than Logan Wilson? He's not $11 million better than Logan Wilson. Man, that's a Joe Burrow effect. Everybody knows, man, Cincinnati is special. They got a special roster. They got a hell of a locker room. These guys want to be here. They want to be here. And, man, I tell you what, it's a good time to be a Bengal fan. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And he said, Zach Taylor, he loves playing for Zach. And that kind of resonates. And I don't know if you guys noticed about how many times, like, you see Zach out in public, like with the game balls for the playoff games, like taking those out to public areas and giving his little speeches, and players going out, like Teddy K going out there. Like, I think that means a lot, man. Like, it just shows, like, it makes everyone feel a part of the team. And I love that. Like, you could get big time organizations and, support them and stuff, but you don't have that connection. And then you have Zach signing autographs, Joe signing autographs to kids, in which, there's some grown men pushing up on. Was kind of weird, but like, people get there. You got weird people in every bunch. Like, if this random person's watching the show, sorry, man, it's kind of weird. But like,
back off the kids. Let the kids get out of grass.
Yeah,
that's
man,
what I said. That's what events are for. Teddy K, all these guys, they do a lot of events that you can go to and you can go get your autograph. You can, like everybody.
Exactly.
else.
Yeah, let them have fun. Let the kids get their fun in. Let the adults get it at the events and stuff. But I think it is cool. I feel like there's a different feel. So when everyone talks about like the culture, it's definitely in the locker room, but it's in the community as well. I think like Andy Dalton, he had a good community outreach with different things he did, but I feel like this team's a little different in the way they're very personable with the fan base. And I really appreciate that. Like, I know I don't live in Cincinnati, and I know Mon's a good bit further than me, but like, to see that, it means something. I do like that a lot. You guys feel like that's a change, or was I just missing something in the past?
Go ahead, Mom.
Okay. No, you were saying that. I just made me think about something Paul Daner said on one of his podcasts a few weeks ago. How the culture he has in that locker room. You know how the Bengals went out and drafted all these captains from college. They're in that locker room now. And Zach Taylor's such a great communicator. And he mentioned something. These veterans on the team, like Ted Karras, all these guys, they mention how Coach Taylor protects them and takes care of them. And they feel like he really cares. He's keeping them fresh during the season. And guess what? Ted Karras, all these veterans, they're talking to players on other teams. They go, hey, man, this coaching staff really takes care of us, this, that, and this. When free agency pops up, those guys are going to remember things like that. And I just love the fact how, he's connected. He knows, like, hey, this is a long grind. There's no reason to kill my guys during camp. Let's get ready. Let's protect our guys, keep them healthy. And he runs a tight ship, man. It's a hell of a locker room. I think that's the biggest thing that we don't really talk about enough is the intangibles with the Bengals. The talent's there, but that locker room is probably tops in the league.
I agree with that.
It's a complete change from what we've had. We hear the players, they would love to get out of here. Now they're taking pay cuts to stay. It's a complete 180. So love to see it.
100%. Would you guys rather have had? Would you rather have Bates and Bell, or would you rather have Logan and Jermaine Pratt? Because or would you rather split it up? And have
I was devastated. Yeah, that's a good one. When Bell left, I was really bummed out because to me, Bell, he sort of changed that defense a little bit when he hit Juju Smith-Schuster in that one game. I feel like everything turned around from that one hit. I knew Bates was gone, but you know what? I mean, Pratt and Wilson, arguably two of the top 5 linebackers in football. I think maybe that's a little homerism on my part. I still wish Bell was on the team. If I had to choose two, I'll take Wilson and Bell.
Yeah, I think that's what we all expected, right? We all expected Bell back, and we thought Pratt was gone. So, equally talented. Pratt's a couple years younger, I guess, is the one thing. Maybe he's still got another little bit of growth in him, a next level to his game. And, he has been ascending each year. It seems like he's gotten a little better, especially getting to play a little bit more on third downs. I know he's still – personally would love to play more than what he is, but I probably would be like Mon if I thought those were the two that would have stayed as Wilson and Bell. Bates, the writing was on the wall as soon as that Dax Hill pick was made. I never thought twice about him staying anymore after that. But yeah, Bell. The only thing is the age. We'll see if he starts to fall off here in a year or so. We're going to be like, man, the Bengals did it again. And if Nick Scott, Jordan Battle, one of those two guys can play really well for us this year, we're going to not even miss it as much as we thought right away. So that is one of my biggest preseason things to watch this week is if the safeties get snaps, which I'm hoping those guys do. That's some of the potential starters that I think need snaps this week.
I agree. I agree with you 100% on that.
I'll be on a range, and I don't even know if I'll get to watch this game. I'll be who knows what's happening. So hopefully I'll get to watch it. Hopefully things are finished up and I'll be able to catch it and see it. But like you said, Dale, the writing's on the wall with the Dax Hill pick with Myles Murphy, which I've said over and over. Myles Murphy was a guy I wanted to slide. And he seemed like a good candidate to slide in. Mon, you stated earlier, pass rushers and corners on defense. Like that's something I love. And there's something about pass rushers, man. You see them dudes coming off the edge. Yeah, that interior dude that just blowing the line up. It's fun. It makes that defense fun. And getting Myles Murphy, I was not expecting the Hendrickson sign extension. So do you think that means – well, I'll finish with 2 sections here. Do you think that means they don't think Myles Murphy's ready to fill that role? So they said, Trey, we appreciate you. We appreciate what you have to offer. We're giving you this. Or do you think they just know the value of Trey? So they gave Myles Murphy – it had nothing to do with Myles Murphy's value. And also what we was talking about before was what was we talking about before, boys?
I don't know. Let's just start with that one first because I won't remember both of them.
What was we talking
about?
Safeties. We're talking about the safeties.
I had a two-parter what I was asking you guys, and I lost it.
I think they're rewarding Hendrickson. I we'll do that part of it first. Then maybe it was something to do with the safeties, but Hendrickson rewarding him. He's been phenomenal for 2 straight years. And, there was a little bit of him setting out last year and this and that. So maybe he thought he was underpaid. They took care of those concerns, right? We don't have to worry about him even having those thoughts now. And he's here, an extra year, and the guy's been balling out. So I think it's a win-win for both parties in the Hendrickson deal. I don't think it has anything to do with Murphy, but it may delay his being on the field as many snaps because we already see Osai out there. Basically, they're saying he's getting as many reps as one of the starters. Murphy, they say they're moving him inside some, but he may just be more of a third down, certain packages. I don't see him getting tons of snaps this year, but if he comes on and he improves throughout the year, maybe it's a second half thing. And I also think they know you can never have too many pass rushers. The last couple postseasons, Sam and Trey have been dog-ass tired. Sorry for the language. They have been very tired. They have been very tired when it comes playoff time because they want to be on the field all the time. They hate coming off the field, and it's a long season when you're playing 17 regular season games, plus you're into your 3rd or 4th postseason game. So you're playing 17, 18, 19, 20 games a season. I mean, that's taxing. So you can never have too many D linemen to rotate. I think we'll just see more rotation, and everybody's going to eat, and it's going to help the team overall.
Yeah, I like that.
You know what? I agree with Dale 100%. Dusty, I said this the last time I was on your show. The Bengals only had 30 sacks last year. That was like 29th in the NFL, and that's unacceptable. And I think Murphy's going to come in. I think we'll give them 15, 20 snaps a game, situational pass rush. They have to get up in the 40s, potentially 50s in sacks. I think that's huge, especially early in the season. We're talking about those safeties being young. Cam Taylor-Britt, good player, second-year player. He's still young. That pass rush has got to help them guys out early in the season. Get some pressure on the quarterbacks and help them out. That's going to be huge.
I do have a question. Do you think that's a part of the scheme? Because we've seen Sam, we've seen Trey drop back in coverage. Hell, we saw Carlos Dunlap drop back in coverage, and he complained about it. Do you think that's part of Lou's scheme, that he trusts his corners and his linebackers to cover, and getting pressure was just something he's like, all right, we'll send 3, we'll see what happens? Or do you think he's going to dial up more?
He does do that. He does drop them back. Sometimes he only rushes 3, has 8 back in coverage. But Dale hit it too when he said, Hendrickson and Hubbard, week 10, 11, 12, these guys are a little gassed. Hill, BJ Hill, these guys are playing a lot of snaps. And I'm old, everybody makes fun of my age. I remember the Bengals from like 2008, 2009, 2010. Their second string defensive linemen were getting 7, 8 sacks a season. They're coming in behind Dunlap, behind Wallace Gilberry. All these guys were coming in, and absolutely, there was no drop off when the starters. I like that.
Well, that's exactly how it works. Well, that's why he wanted to do it live too. And I was like, I'm messaging Pork Chop. I'm like, hop on here. We don't have any comments yet. This is all trying to test this stuff out for you. So I was like, I'll just do it myself. I got on my phone and I got it.
I'm honored to be on here. You guys are high tech. We don't have this stuff on my show. Okay, you guys are big time.
No, Mom, not at all, man. This is the first time I'm going live, and I'm like, dude, we'll see what I don't care. It's fun.
So then you just got to hit it again when you want to take the comment down, and if you start having a bunch of comments, then it's like, because our show, man, it's very interactive where we try to get as many of the comments in as we can. So we'll just be going from one comment to the next sometimes,
That's good, though, man. That's good. That helps the show flow, and it's entertaining, man.
Yeah, and sometimes it helps give us topics when we don't really have much to talk about in the off season.
Yeah, that's what I want. Like, I can only think of so much stuff to ask and talk about, man. So
yeah, in the chat, they'll bring it all day long, and that's the thing, I mean, this is our, we've been doing it for over a year and about a year and a half or whatever it's been now, so. But, you're going to grow. You're going to have more people watching your show. So, he's just on that Cincinnati network. He's on that train that don't stop. So, they got thousands of people tuning into them all the time. We're scraping for the hundreds.
I don't know about my show.
Hey, I think you guys get a lot, man. You guys do a great job.
I appreciate that. No, but I have a high school football coach and a fireman that's technology. We're challenged technology wise, so we just push record and start talking. That's all we do.
So
Yeah,
you
I'm
guys
not
don't
super
ever
good.
do a live either. You just
We-
record and then upload.
We've done a couple live, but we mostly just record. Our schedules are so goofy. Sometimes, man, we record at 10 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
and it's just, and then we release it right away. And I mean, there's times we wake up like, dude, we got to re-record. Something big happened. We look like kooks, so we
Oh.
re-record.
That's always funny when that happens to the Locked On guys too. Like they'll
Yeah.
just record and then extension happens. They're always
Yeah, I know. Like, damn it, you can't bring it in, but it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
We enjoy it. Yes, sir.
I noticed you did away with the stash, bro.
I did. You know why? I'll tell you. I'm going to grow it back because I was shaving it and I effed it up. Like, I got to shave it. I shaved it off, And last year when I grew that stash, man, they went on a 10-game win streak. And I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, so it's
there
coming
we
back.
go.
And listen to
Yeah.
this, man. I shaved it at the end of the season. Then I started growing it, and the Reds won 12 in a row. And I'm like, man, that's it.
And then you messed it up, and now the Reds have been a
yeah,
mess.
you know
So-
what? That's right.
Just saying that we might know who to blame.
Yeah, it's coming back. Just give it a few weeks. Have me back on in about a month, okay?
Dude, I shit you guys not. I do not wash my jerseys all year. I got a black jersey and a white jersey, and I will not wash them. I'll get stains on them. My daughter, I was watching the game and stuff. She gets super hyped up. I'll get hyped up. My wife yells at me. She's like, "Dusty, chill out." And I'm like, I'll just start yelling random stuff.
But it's the Bengals, honey.
Yeah, and Harper, she'll just get hyped up and she'll just yell. She'll be like, "Who day, who day," and yelling and stuff. And I picked her up one day, and she had like a little juice box, and she spilled red. I think it was like Welch's grape juice or something.
Now,
and
was
got
it a
on my
white jersey? A white
Yeah.
jersey. Oh, God.
I was like, doesn't matter. Can't wash it, man. Can't do it.
Just walked around like you murdered somebody the rest of the season.
Tradition. It is what it is.
Hey, what's the weather like where you guys are at right now?
It's
Dusty, where
nice.
you at?
I'm like Central Ohio.
Okay.
So I'm like an hour east of Columbus.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I am somehow below Cincinnati's. I'm southeast of Cincinnati, about 2 hours. But
I gotcha.
it's not bad today. It's like 82, but it's a little muggy.
Yeah.
Man, it's 100 degrees down here. I'm telling you, it is so. My AC is going to blow up. It is crazy hot. I was at work yesterday, and it was every call we went on, we're just dripping in sweat. And it took like 4 showers, 2 loads of laundry. It's just horrible. This is the hottest summer I've ever had in Florida. It's not even
wow.
close.
That's
Yeah,
why we got to get that retirement done so you can move back up this way.
3 years, baby. 3 years.
Countdown is
It'll go
on.
quick, man. It'll go
Covington,
quick.
Kentucky. Here I come.
I know.
Yeah.
When we was gone, man, with training, it rained one evening, and that was it. It was a few weeks of just super hot weather in full gear and stuff. Man, it was rough, and especially me working nights. Like I work full time and stuff, but it's a night shift in AC. So when I go to days and out in the field, it's like, whew, boy,
Yeah.
it was getting toasty. But I'm always outside. Like today, I got off work and I went and was mowing, and my neighbor that lives back behind us, he came up and he was talking to me about just some random hunting stuff, and I was standing out there with my shirt off for about 2 hours, and I was like, I gotta go put a shirt on, dude. I was like, I feel like I'm getting burnt, but
Lobster, man. They're going to be a lobster.
and I tan good. So my buddy, I was running this range, and the day was done. It was a long day. I go back in, and I had my glasses on, and my cheeks were all red. I had these black shades, and they were reflecting down. He's like, "Man, you look a little burnt." And the next day, we had a gas chamber. I was like, yeah. I was like, tomorrow might be rough, and he was helping out with it. And I was like, yeah, it might be. And I didn't look myself in a mirror or anything. I go and look in a mirror, and I was like, I am a little red, but normally I'll tan. But then he kept saying, like, dude, you need to get some aloe or something. Like, tomorrow's gonna be rough. And I couldn't get no aloe. There was no aloe anywhere, and we couldn't leave. And I was like, man, it might be it might be a tough day for me tomorrow. But I tanned up. He's a ginger, so he gets a little more worried about than I do. But,
take care of them tattoos, buddy. Take care of them tattoos there.
Oh, well, that's what them long sleeves are for. So
I got you.
We have to wear them. So
now you got David Gabbard in the chat here. He's giving some weather updates for Idaho, and he asked a good question.
Let's see. I haven't even been looking at them. My bad.
I'm looking right now. Hey, nice. Dale, did you go to Canton? Did you go to Canton at all?
No.
No.
That would have been about a 4 or 5 hour drive.
Yeah, that's just...
I mean, it would have been awesome to be there. We don't have only our second guy going in, but
yeah, that was well done though, man. I thought his son did a really good job, with the induction, and it was good to see another Bengal in there. And I tell you, man, every time I see that, I try not to watch it every year because I get pissed off that there's not more Bengals in the Hall of Fame. But I think it's going to happen. I think Willie Anderson will get in this year. I hope so, and Ken Anderson in the next couple years. But
yeah, both of those guys should be in. I mean, should have already been in.
I agree. Yeah, Dusty, you might have missed that since you're off training, but Ken Riley got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I did. I did see that. And I seen his son. He gave a nice little, real short speech, but it was nice. And you could hear the inflection in his voice when he said, "Dad, we made it," or he said something along those lines. It was like, man, that kind of hit different. But dude, 65 interceptions. Think about that. That is crazy. 65 interceptions.
And when he played, it wasn't like it is today where they passed all the time and he had that many. It's insane.
It's insane. It was not nearly the passing league that it is. Like, I don't know what the percentage is, but let's just say the Bengals are a 60-40 passing team, passing to run. Back then, it was probably 40-60. And I could be wrong. I'm just saying some numbers. But, it was probably more than 50-50, and this dude comes up with 65 interceptions, which is just, it's crazy to me.
He's still fifth all time, right?
Yes, he is. You don't accidentally get 65 interceptions. That doesn't happen by accident. The guy was a hell of a player, and unfortunately, man, that the Bengals had great teams in the 70s, but they played in the same division as the Steelers, and the Steelers won 4 Super Bowls that decade. Yeah, they won 4 Super Bowls, and nobody really noticed the Bengals at that time, but I'm glad he got in, man. Ken Anderson needs to get in, and Willie Anderson. Hell, Isaac Curtis deserves it too, but we'll see, man. Only time will tell.
While we're talking about honors, what was you guys' thoughts on the Ring of Honor guys that got in, which will be that Monday Night Football game, the whiteout game? It was Ocho Cinco this year and Boomer. I personally was pushing for Lamar Parrish, and then I was like, the second one could be a lot of people. But I really was like, Lamar Parrish is kind of similar to Ken Riley, where he was doing some amazing things well before his time as a punt returner and as a secondary guy. So he was just an elite player that should be recognized a lot more than he is. That's got to start with our Ring of Honor, and he didn't get in again. So I was a little disappointed there. And that's not to take anything against Chad and Boomer, who both deserve to be in. I just thought maybe they could wait and we could get one of our older guys in who – I want him to witness it in person, his going into the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I agree, man. Lamar Parrish was unbelievable. They said he was Deion Sanders before Deion Sanders. He was so electrifying. I agree with you. I'm sorry, my Siri just went off. I agree 100% there. And another guy, Bob Trumpy, he's getting up there in age, and I just want these guys to be able to, to be there when that Ring of Honor comes to them. But it's hard to, Boomer and Chad, they weren't regional. I mean, these guys had a national outreach. They had TV commercials nationwide. And, they put the Bengals on the map in Florida. You saw Boomer jerseys all over the place, Chad Johnson jerseys. I get it. But at the same time, Lamar Parrish was so damn good, and he's deserving. And hopefully he gets in next year.
For sure. Dusty, did you have any thoughts on that? Are you still keeping up with your chat, man? It's bumping now. See?
Oh, dude, I haven't. I'm sorry, man.
That's why I wanted you to go live, because, man, it's like That's what I do every like 3 days a week, and then do a weekend. It's 4 days a week, man. I'll be doing the chat. I'll be also hosting the show and firing out the. It's fun. I enjoy it. Like,
Dude, I like the live. I like having people interacting, man. We got to do it more often. But no,
shout out to Ross. Ross saying "Who Dey" to Mon, but
Yeah,
I'm also
Ross,
shouting you out.
Ross, my West Virginia fan there. West Virginia all the way, baby.
I was big on Lamar Parrish, just getting some of the older guys in, and Dave Lapham was my two. I mean, Dave's been around the team for 30 years. Like, I love him. Lamar Parrish.
Another older guy. Him and Mon mentioned Trumpy. Those are the three oldest. I went and looked all that stuff up too when the voting was coming out this year.
Yeah. So those would have been my two, but having Chad in, like, I love Chad, man. That was like my time frame. Like, when I was coming up, like, Chad was that guy, and so I have great appreciation for him. Boomer was a little before my time, and I feel like we could have probably waited a little bit on that one. I would have rather seen Lamar Parrish, I think, but I can't argue on the two, but hopefully Dave Lapham gets in soon, and Lamar Parrish next year would be great to see, because I think he's like in his mid 70s, and I don't really want to see the Ken Riley effect trickle down on him.
Right, and be able to go in and enjoy it potentially. You don't want him to be in even bad health.
Yeah, I don't want to knock the Bengals, because I love them. I have a podcast on the Bengals, but I think they should have more than two a year. There's such a backlog of players.
Oh.
Maybe make it four. Do that for a few years. Get some of these older guys in there. I don't know, man. Maybe that it's evolving. Maybe they will do that eventually. But I think
they did four the first. They did four the first year, and then they took it back down to two. I think they should have, at least for the first 3 years, kept it four. Yeah. And then we would have had four more in besides what's in there now. And then we're saying, okay, let's just speculate what those four could have been. It could have been Parrish, Lapham. Who else might have been? Corey Dillon, even, that was a big thing this offseason. Yeah. So there's, and then somebody else. There's so many deserving guys. Reggie Williams, David Fulcher.
James Brooks was great. James Brooks is my all-time favorite.
Max Montoya, like all these guys that are on there that deserve to be in there too. We could have had four more of them if they just would have kept it at four for a couple years.
Boys, give me 1 second. I'm letting my dog out. I know that's Dale's thing, but I don't know if you can hear. She's over here drinking water and just rubbing up against me. I'm gonna let her out. You guys keep the conversation going. I'll be back in 1 second.
She's having a good time, Dusty.
Dale, did you have a prediction win-loss for the Bengals this year?
Yeah, I think I've been somewhere around that, 13-4 mark, or 13 and whatever it is with the 17 games now. Yeah. So, 13-4, 12-5, somewhere in that range of those two. But now with Burrow's injury, if you start out to where he doesn't play in Cleveland, but I do think he's going to play. I think he's going to be just fine.
I think so too. I had 13-4 also. I do. I think the AFC North is going to be tough. I have them losing a couple games in the AFC North. But what Jamar said the other day on the NFL Network, I don't know if he's trolling Bengal fans, but I had to take a couple blood pressure pills after that. But we'll see. We'll see on that.
Being back like week 5, it's like, and I think he kind of clarified. He just wants him back healthy. You don't want anybody telling him to be back by this certain point. Make sure listen to your body more than listen to anything. Because last year, didn't he set out a couple more games or something than what people maybe thought he was going to initially during last season. So, I mean, as long as they're there. But Burrow, no knock on Chase because he's great. But Burrow being in there, your chances of winning. We still had T to carry some games when Jamar was out, and he did, like in Pittsburgh. But if Joe's out, we're going to have a lot tougher time winning a game in Cleveland, even week 1.
Yeah, playing against Myles Garrett too. And, week 1 to me is the biggest unknown in the NFL schedule because everybody's pumped up, and trust me, going into Cleveland, that's going to be a hard game to win. That's going to be tough, even with a healthy Burrow. I mean, I think we're the better team, but they're going to be fired up. And I don't know. I hope he's there. I hope he's healthy.
We see stuff every year in week one, and then things almost go back to normal through the season after. You'll see like 30-point blowouts, and it's like, man, it was the Bills a couple years ago, wasn't it? They got blown out by somebody week one, and then it was like, oh, all's well. The rest of the season, the Bills were fine.
Well, I remember the Patriots lost by like 26, 24 points or something week one, and went on to the Super Bowl and won it.
Yeah.
And the Bengals were 14-point, 12-point underdogs against the Seahawks, 3 years ago. They almost won that game. It was 21-20.
Yeah, that was the John Ross game.
Yeah.
John Ross game where we thought John Ross is the man.
Season.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude! When I was watching, I was like, "Here we go, John Ross. This is what we wanted." And where was he playing? He was playing in Seattle. He was feeling at home.
I hated that pick when it happened because the reports of the injuries were too much. And that day of, there was a report John Ross is going to fall to the second round because of his injuries, and I'm like, no, the Bengals are going to take him at 9. And we're all going to be devastated.
He retired, right? Did he retire?
Yeah, he just retired
this offseason. But, dude, he was special. Like, if you watch his highlights in college, the dude was something. If he could have stayed healthy, he could have been something. But
that's the thing, man, that we had that run. We're drafting Cedric Ogbuehi. Huge injury concerns. John Ross, huge injury concerns. You got to be smart about it a little bit,
Yeah.
The risk was there. The reward wasn't worth the risk, and it bit us in the butt. I said butt even.
Wow. You're out of control, mister. You're out of control.
Hey, Dusty tells me we got to keep this cursing.
I said 13, PG-13, dog.
I don't know what that is. I am all the way
one or the other.
I am like I'm in church.
Oh, man.
I'm glad you told me that because I was going to cuss earlier, and I'm glad I didn't. I was
No,
going to say
guys
shucks.
100% can say what you want. It's just kind of PG-13-ish.
No, I get it. I just have a show. I just say really a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, Dale, you guys.
Especially with pork chop on there now. Pork chop on there. It's worse than me.
What?
Pork chop's worse than me.
Oh, yeah. Pork chop gets crazy.
That's when you were like, oh, I want to have a show. I was like, oh, I can invite pork chop. And I immediately thought, no, I can't invite pork chop. Can't do it.
So, who you guys most excited to see for preseason game 1 here coming up soon? Who's somebody or even a couple players that – because I have probably solid 3 players I'm very excited for. But who you guys looking forward to watching?
I got a man crush on Yoshivas.
Oh, you, Greg? Oh, man.
It is what it is.
I got a man. Yeah, I'll tell you, that guy, I think he's going to be a steal. I think he's going to be a special player. First year, he's going to learn a little bit. He'll produce. There's no way they're going to cut him because he'll get claimed. He's going to make the roster. He's going to try to figure out how to be the NFL pro, but I think he's going to be one hell of a receiver. I really do. I think he's going to have a big preseason.
Yeah, I've got a bet with Greg. Greg loves him. We bring him up on our 3:30 shows, and Greg take his shirt off half the time. He gets so excited. It's just quality content, I tell you.
Big savage.
But we've got a bet. I set it at 9.5. I said this is an in-stadium beer, so that's an expensive bet. I said I'll take the under, but I let Greg take the over for the preseason that he'll have 10 catches. If he gets 10, Greg wins the bet. I said shoot, he might get it in Green Bay if Charlie don't play. Chuck Sizzle was dinged up with the shoulder, but he was back at practice. So either way, how many guys? That's the thing to me. How many guys are going to play first before I can really say who I'm excited to see?
Yeah, that's a good
There's
point.
only 3 preseason games, but I see maybe the starters getting a series or 2.
Yeah,
but maybe you hold out like Chase and Higgins or like your superstars.
Well, I think what you said earlier, I think the safeties need to get 10, 15 snaps, maybe a game.
Those guys even more, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to get out there because they got to be able to communicate. That's the big deal. And that's another thing about Pratt and Wilson. They're sort of going to become the coaches on that defense now because it was sort of Bell and Bates. And now those guys are going to try to get everybody lined up and get their heads straight. But yeah, those safeties got to play. I tell you, DJ Ivy, I keep on reading all this.
Dude,
that guy is lining up.
That's one of mine for sure.
Okay,
that pass breakup he had on Jamar.
It's been every, like, he was doing this in the rookie minicamp, then it was in the minicamps. Now it's been in the training camp. He keeps being mentioned and keeps being shown and making plays.
And everyone says he's an outside corner, man. He's like 6'3". He's got the length. He's got everything
arms
you
are.
want. His arms.
I'll let Mon continue, but man, I'm with you on
that. No. I like because Lapham was talking him up and saying he's a physical specimen. He's fast. They said his arms hit the ground. His arms are unbelievable. He's another find. I'm telling you, man. Duke Tobin, these guys
killed it.
They have, and you like. Listen, we know I hate the Steelers, but one thing about the Pittsburgh Steelers for years, they had a system in place, and they'd go draft a player that fits their system. I think the Bengals are doing that now. They have a system, and they're going to go find a player that fits their system. And DJ Ivy's one of those guys, and Turner's kicking ass. I know he's a second-round pick. Sorry about the ass part, but kicking booty. Okay, and
booty.
Yeah.
You can say no, but it's just a little PG-13. That's fine.
I understand. But all those beat writers are talking about the defensive backs, even Alan George, all these young guys. And what does it say about Lou Anarumo? Before he became defensive coordinator, he was a DB coach. So that guy knows DBs. And I'm excited about this.
I think he coached corner specifically. I always talk about that. And it's huge because you can tell. Like, look at Cam Taylor-Britt. Yes, we knew he was going to be solid. He was locked down in the playoffs, and that's with Cheeto down. He was basically number one corner.
Yeah.
And we're seeing DJ Ivy, DJ Turner. We're seeing, and I love Alan George too. I'm curious to see how this shakes out. If Sidney Jones may end up getting squeezed out, and he's a little bit of a veteran.
You're right. Dusty Dale, I tell you what. Last year, I had the biggest meltdown when Awuzie tore up his knee. I remember telling Jake on the Bengals Pulse, I'm like, it's done. We're done. The season is over because he was playing at an elite level, top 3 cornerback. And then what happened? Eli came in. Listen, Eli leaving to go to the Dolphins, I know his Twitter stuff got old, but he was a good player for us.
I love Eli.
He played pretty solid for us.
We wouldn't have made it where we made it the last 2 seasons without Eli Apple.
You're right. But those coaches, they coached up Cam Taylor-Britt. Eli Apple came in. We won 10 in a row after that injury. And I was depressed, man. I needed blood pressure meds. I had to check into a clinic. I was messed up. And, but it just shows you this coaching staff, they know how to coach up those DBs. And I'm looking forward to see how they play these next preseason games.
Yeah,
and I'm pumped. I'm pumped to see if Chuck Sizzle does play. I'm pumped for Yosavash too. I want to see Miles Murphy. I want to see Zach Carter is a second-year guy. I'm really excited to see. Did you guys see the Goodberry clip the other day where he basically where he was at practice and Carter just I don't know who that Deontay Smith. It was a big offensive lineman and he just lifted him into the air like nothing.
Yeah, Deontay Smith is like 310 pounds. He picked him up like he was nothing.
Yeah.
And that was impressive. I'm like, man, he's a grown man. We'll see how that
Zach Carter, though, had a lot of production in college. Like, he did
9.5 sacks last year at Florida.
Yeah, he was somebody I was very excited for. And I know I talked to Dale about it a lot, about Zach Carter and what I was thinking about him. So he's definitely a guy that I got my eye on. He was probably the biggest guy between him and Miles Murphy, because Miles Murphy's been kind of quiet. And I know they got the rotation.
It started to ramp up the excitement for him. I feel like in this week, even in little at the end of last week, the Murphy.
And we'll see, like when the pads come on, the pads are on, but in game time situations, players, sometimes people show up and some people don't. Like, you can have a lot of hype around somebody, and then you get into a game and it's got to match up to practice and what's showing up in game time situations. So Miles Murphy, he's been kind of quiet. He could blow up, or could be hopefully not too quiet. But
I just read that bottom comment and made me laugh. Sorry.
What'd you say?
I just read David Gabbard's the last comment that was on there. Made me laugh. Too bad the Dolphins didn't sign the Cincinnati mayor too.
Oh Lord, that's hilarious.
I hated that, man. I hated that.
Bro,
Yeah,
Eli Apple, though, for real, I was really big this offseason on bringing him back. Like May time, around May, I was like, dude, let's just bring Eli back in. I guess it's really showing now in training camp to why we didn't bring him back.
Why we didn't, yeah, because we've got more younger guys at cheaper cost. And yeah, you're talking maybe.
Eli's cheap, but
I know, but last year he
room?
was $4 million. You're talking $4 million compared to a rookie 7th rounder in DJ Ivy. Yeah. That matters in getting a contract with a Logan Wilson or maybe the Henderson. All the money does ultimately. The pie adds up. However you get to the pie, as Mike Brown likes to talk about his pie.
There's only so much of it, man.
There's only so much pie, and we couldn't afford the $4 million of Eli Apple's pie when we drafted the younger guys, and they're good. Alan George is an undrafted guy.
Now.
I feel good with Alan George going out there. Even.
Yeah, Alan George. He has some special traits. He could make the team. But Dale, I really like that Mike Brown impersonation. That's dead on. That's dead on.
It was solid.
I gotta get my trench coat, or I need that hat, that duck hat. Yeah.
Man, I love it. I love when Mike Brown goes on Dan Hord's show and they give him that 20-minute interview, and just his delivery. He's so interesting, man. And he's talking. I told Dan Hord once, I'm like, you got to have him on at least once a month, because the guy, he's just amazing. He's fun to listen to.
Yeah, he is. Were you guys more surprised that we got both linebackers, or more surprised about the Trey Hendrickson?
Both linebackers for me.
Yeah,
I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought Pratt was a goner. I really did. I thought Pratt played better than Wilson last year, but I thought Pratt was gone.
And then there was a lot of talk when Pratt was re-signed. Does this mean Logan's not going to stay?
Yes.
Do you have to go? Is Logan gone? And I'm like, I hope not, because Logan's great. He's just now playing the best ball of his career. Plus, he's more of the. I know Pratt has made the turnovers in the biggest moments, but Wilson 7 career interceptions. Plus, last year Wilson had 120 plus tackles, was his most in any season. He just gets better and better, and I do think he's stepping into that leadership role, as Mon kind of alluded to, that both guys will have to. But I think it's really going to be. I think it's going to be Wilson is going to be the Von Bell main leader on the defense now, and a lot of times the middle linebacker would be.
Yeah,
yeah. But I don't know. I feel like Pratt's got that he's just got that
dog in him.
He does the strip on Travis Kelce. He comes up and he's like, "Nah,
biggest
moment." And that was a huge play. And I don't know, man. They play off each other so well. Their personalities. You got a more reserved guy. You got some dude that kind of wears his heart on his sleeve in Pratt. Where I don't know. Players need that, and you have that with your linebackers. You got a dog, and you have somebody that's a dog in a different way. And I can appreciate that. That's just two different leaders, and I do like the pairing a lot. I did not think Trey Hendrickson was going to be re-signed. I was more on the boat of maybe because this is what we were talking about earlier, and I forgot. Now I remember, but I thought maybe it'd be like a Von Bell and a Logan Wilson. That was kind of the pairing that I think that's what Mon said. I could be wrong, but
I think that was what both of us said. We were kind of all on the same page with that.
Yeah, and just kind of what Jermaine Pratt said at the end of the season. And it's unfortunate that it got caught on tape, but people are going to say stuff I don't know how many times.
He's passionate, man. That's the thing. Yeah. It was awful and it was bad, but once he resigned, especially, that just dude, that was a heat of a moment, pure passion, and I'm sure he has apologized to Joseph Osai more than anyone has.
Yeah. It's just, and sometimes when you think something and you think out loud, it's not exactly what you mean to say. You're just thinking out loud and you're mad and it comes out. So when he said it, I wasn't upset about it, and I wasn't thinking it was going to divide a locker room or anything weird. It just it was an unfortunate timing to be recorded and put out there. But you could record a lot of teams after games, and you're going to get a lot of weird things said.
But then we saw BJ Hill stand right there beside
Yes.
Osai.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's the team stuff we were talking about earlier.
No
And-
stupid questions.
Yeah, just that. I don't care. This is a terrible moment. I'm sure BJ Hill was upset. The whole team was, but he's like, you know
I
what?
love that.
One player messed up. Now I'm here. I got this.
Yeah.
I got my
Yep.
guy.
Pratt's a
that's
good
what the team
teammate.
does.
Yeah, Pratt's a good teammate. That was just like Dale said, emotion. But that locker room, man, I know I sound like a broken record. I don't think there's an NFL team that has a better locker room than the Cincinnati Bengals. We have talented players, but man, these guys really care about each other. And they're going to look out for each other. They're going to play hard for each other. And I think that's what makes the Bengals special, man. And hats off to Zach Taylor and Duke Tobin. They drafted the right guys, man.
Oh, yeah.
They had to reshape that locker room, and damn it, they did it.
I got kind of one more conversation, if that's cool, before I hop off here.
Dude, I got plenty of time. I'm off.
Well, I got just a few more minutes.
Your boy Greg.
I got about
just-
10 minutes. Go for it, boys. Hey,
Oh, Greg's in. Greg, I'm leaving, so you're here. Good time.
All right.
hey, Greg,
No,
how are you, buddy?
I said I wanted to get the. Yeah, I should have known. He probably heard you mention that you're a huge Andre Yosevich guy, Mom.
Oh,
Mom
sorry, guys.
Mom has a man crush, he said, even on Andre Yosevich, Greg.
Stay away, Greg. Stay away.
Hey, you stay away. Sorry, guys. I was on a phone call with a friend for a long time. I totally apologize.
You're good, Greg.
All right.
But,
Yeah, apologize, Greg.
now we got Pork Chop
We were
in the
waiting
chat.
this whole time for you, bud.
Yeah.
But I was going to bring up the running backs because Travion got dinged up, but I think he's closer to coming back than not coming back. But who do you guys see as running back 2 this year? Because I think Chase Brown has and now we're starting to hear a little Chris Evans is out there popping some guys on special teams and doing some stuff. How do you see the running back shaking out, Mom?
Yeah, they're going to need a second one. I can tell you that right now. I losing P. Ryan really hurt me because he was one of my favorite Bengals. And I listened to what Paul Daner said the other day. He said that the Bengals matched that Broncos offer. They wanted him to stay. But if I had to pick one, it's going to be Chase Brown, obviously. But I'm just a little worried. I think he's a hell of a football player. He was a workhorse at Illinois. But, man, he had some fumble issues. A little worried about that. And, and the Joe Mixon thing, we had a big debate about him. But one thing about Mixon, he does hold on to the ball. He doesn't have the fumble-rooski thing going, but I'm going to say
you left
Brown.
his show over 45 minutes in, Chop. That ain't leaving someone. Act like
Sorry,
you-
Jeff. I'm sorry, man.
No, you're good. No, but Chris Evans too. To me, he's like if he gets out of that doghouse, I think he has the most talent on for the running backs for the Bengals. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, I like Chase Brown a lot. Like when he was doing the pre-draft, I sent a tweet out. I know I said it on Dale's show. I think I said it when me and Mon talked a couple months ago. But Chase Brown, man, was somebody I really liked. And if we would have took him in the 4th round, a whole round earlier, I think I would have been just as excited as I was in the 5th round, to be honest. Like, I liked him a lot. Yes, he's smaller, but Gio was a 2nd round pick. He was a smaller guy, and everybody loves Gio. And he has – we want to talk about the wear and tear on him, right? Like, he carried the ball a lot. He did a lot for that team. But he showed he can handle it. He can hold up to it. And he's not going to be asked to do that with the Bengals. I love having competition. So I'm not going to lie. The more competition, the better. Whoever's the best players out there. Travion's paid his dues. So if he's the best, let him play. Let him play this year. Let Chase Brown get a little rest, recovery in. Let him learn a little more, and let him be ready the next year. But if he's ready and he's the best player, I think they will play him.
I think they go 4 running backs on the roster. Sometimes they go 3. I think they're going to keep 4 this year.
Yeah.
What do you think, Gregor?
Second running back, I'll be honest with you, I'm trying to think here. Travion Williams, obviously that he got hurt, but I think when he comes back, I fully expect Travion to be the second running back because I think he can fill the P. Ryan role. I mean, clearly the Bengals think highly of Travion. He's been on the team the last 3 or 4 years, and every time Travion, people forget, every time when Mixon got hurt, every time Travion came in, he produced. he just produced every time he came in. So I expect big things. I still think they're going to work Chase Brown in a lot more on passing downs and all. But I really have high hopes for Travion Williams this year. I really do.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of wanted to also then kind of talk about with the running backs. Did you guys see the glowing reviews of Joe Mixon picking up the blitz? And it's something I mentioned earlier in the offseason because there's all this mixing this and that and losing P. Ryan and a lot of mixing conversation, this whole time, which he manned up and he took the pay cut to help the team. Nothing but respect for him doing that.
Yeah.
But if he's gonna, it's a lot of that is want to when you're a running back and picking up the blitz,
right?
And if they say, hey, listen, we need you to do this if you want to be on the field more, Mixon.
Yeah,
and he's willing to do it. He did it early in his career.
Right.
His pass blocking was so much better early in his career than it has been the last couple of years. We know that he can catch the ball. We know he can run the ball. But if Mixon starts doing that, the second running back debate might not be near as much as what it was last year.
Good point. That's a good point.
I think Derek mentioned it first, Owinjero on Twitter the other day, and I was like, that's right. If he is going to pick up the blocking, it could be a 70-30 split where Mixon plays 70% of the time. So running back 30% of the time between Travion and then I don't know if they would keep 4. I've kind of thought 3 all along just because we're so wide receiver heavy. We're going to have to go light, maybe at tight end and running backs. The only reason I've loved Chris Evans forever. We just haven't seen it. But what are your guys' thoughts on Mixon and maybe the running back split? And will it depend on pass blocking at the end of the day is probably going to determine a lot of playing time.
Well,
they need.
Do you think pass blocking is going to be the big thing with this line? Because I really think the line is going to surprise us. I think it's going to be a lot better. I've said this since we took Orlando Brown. If Jonah can really step up, then I think our line is going to be solid. So the pass blocking from the running back might be not as important as what we're accustomed to. So I don't know.
We've played no extra sets. We've put the tackles on the island. That's the only reason I think the running backs are still going to be important in the blocking game.
Yeah, that's been Mixon's Achilles heel. Absolutely, he's got to improve there. But I still think he has gas in the tank. And Dale, you mentioned it. He's a hell of a receiver out of the backfield.
Yeah, best season last year.
Yeah. The thing about Chris Evans, I honestly think he's the most talented running back on the roster. But he gets in this doghouse. If he could get out of there, I mean, he could be like a special weapon. And I don't know, man. Hopefully he has a big preseason and he has a shot. But Greg, you're right. Travion Williams, he's paid his dues. He's been there 5 years. He was drafted by Marvin. He gets cut, gets put on the practice squad. What does he do? Just comes in and plays well. That Tennessee game last year,
yes,
he was great in that game. He was great. And, he gave us a little juice in the kick return too. So, yeah, I think we'll be okay back there. But you're right about Mixon. That P. Ryan role, third down, who's going to be that guy? Hopefully it's Mixon. Mixon's going to be that guy.
At least half of the time because
right,
he's so good at his pass catching ability.
Right,
so the check 1, 2. Oh, here. I mean, Peyton Manning lived off of that a lot of his career. People don't always want to remember that because they want to remember Marvin Harrison and this and that. But how many times would Peyton just take that 5-yard dump off for a first down over and over and over? He made a living off of that in Indianapolis, in my opinion. And then it opened up everything else.
Yeah. I agree with what Dusty said, too, about the offensive line. Orlando Brown, he's an upgrade pass blocking on the left side, but he's going to be a better run blocker, too. He's 350, 360. I think he's going to do a little better job.
You can't help but be just by size-wise.
Absolutely. So, I think that's another thing. I talked about the sacks this year. We only had 30 sacks last year. Hell, the Bengals were 30th in the NFL in rushing. They only averaged 95 yards a game and 3.8 yards per carry. That has got to get better. They have to get more efficient running the ball. I don't care if they run the ball more, but I want them to get more yards per carry. And I think, that might help the Bengals defense out because guess what? We're going to have the ball 3-4 extra minutes a game. And that's going to keep Mahomes on the bench. It's going to keep Josh Allen on the bench. And, I think they just have to get more efficient running the ball, get more sacks. We're in the Super Bowl.
Again.
Yes, and we win.
Yes.
like we should have, like
Yeah.
we basically did.
I was at that game, man. I mean, it was pain, but you know what? I was just happy to be there, but it was hard. It was hard to watch, but you know what? Hey, we got some unfinished business this year.
Greg, you was at the Super Bowl?
Yes, I was, but you know what? But the thing of it is, when I went over to Los Angeles, I'm like, I'm going to get berated by Rams fans. This is going to be horrible. I'm telling you guys this right now. They could care less if their team was in the Super Bowl. I had so many fans come up and be nice to me and said, "Oh, we're so happy your team's in the Super Bowl, even though we're rooting for the Rams." I'm like, I mean, you respect they're being nice, but I'm like, if this was Pittsburgh or somebody else, I would have been eaten up alive here and all. They could care less in Los Angeles.
Greg already got his hands up, ready to throw down, and they're like,
It was 65-35 Cincinnati fans there. I was there.
When
And
the Rock,
it was unbelievable.
Yes.
When they hooed a chance. I was
Right.
in the nosebleeds, and I looked at my son. I'm like, "Are you kidding me?
yeah,
This is Los Angeles."
right.
And God, that was unbelievable.
When the Rock did the opening theme, when he
Yeah.
said Bengals and Rams fans, he said by far the Bengals fans outdid the Rams fans. That just shows you how much. You know how the LA's been complaining for years they don't have a team. You guys got your two teams, and this is what you've been wanting all these years, crying and complaining about.
I know, man. Crazy,
But
dude. It's
Do you guys think there should be two different locations set so that doesn't happen where a team has to travel either all the way out east, all the way out west, and play a team in their home stadium? Because I honestly, I'm not saying I don't know how much it really tied into it, but I don't like the idea. Could you imagine a team coming to Cincinnati and playing? It'd be crazy. That stadium, yes, it's an outside stadium.
I wouldn't mind it.
No.
I wouldn't mind it at all, but it's not going to happen. We don't have a dome. It's an inside stadium. It's not going to happen. But could you imagine the difference if LA had to come to Cincinnati with our weather in the middle of winter and play us? I just think there should be two different locations. It might not be a big thing to consider.
Well,
but
it wouldn't have mattered that year if Odell Beckham was healthy. If you see
Right.
those comments.
true.
No,
Lord, did you guys see his comments?
It would have been 41-7 or 41 to.
Yeah,
The
What a
numbers,
clown show.
just the
what a
numbers.
clown show.
yeah, whatever. But like you said though, Dusty, if it was playing Cincinnati, big difference right there, 100%. It would have been a big difference, is all I can tell you. All the Bengals fans that flew out there, I mean, that just tells you how big this fan base is right there, bud.
Well,
Iman, I
it
think you
wasn't
can
a
agree.
pass interference. It wasn't a
Yeah.
pass interference.
No, it wasn't.
No.
Logan Wilson was screwed. He should be Super Bowl MVP of that game.
Yes.
He would have been if we would have won. And Greg, what you just said, I live in Florida. When I went to Tampa for the game last year, Bengal fans all over the place. Jacksonville, Miami, Tennessee, Bengal fans travel. We're not a regional team anymore. We've really developed a national base. And it's, man, I tell you, it is so freaking cool being a Bengal fan right now. Because, I walk around Florida, I see people wearing Bengal shirts, and that didn't happen years ago.
No.
So, and I actually had somebody at the local grocery store a few months ago say, "Hey, you just start liking the Bengals." I wanted to kill the guy. I wanted to throat chop him.
No, Mon. I keep my receipts with a lot of people, and
I know.
believe you. I had a family member that was giving me. He took the first swing at me on Facebook. I'm like, okay.
Mom's throwing down at a grocery store in Florida.
I'm gonna start speaking.
Mon, I'll
Make
find
me
out
speak
when you
Arabic.
fight.
I'll speak Arabic. Don't make me do that.
Mon, I'll find out. I'll help you fight, Mon. I call out a lot of people, Mon. I'm like, oh, now you're a fan. Now
Come on down, Greg. Let's go. We'll and I'll buy you a couple beers.
Let's do this.
All
Yeah,
right.
you and Greg just going to grocery stores fighting people.
I want to tell you a quick funny story. We had to take a fire safety training one time at work years ago. I have but it was a computer, but I did put out the fire. But one guy didn't. You're supposed to go back and forth with the fire extinguisher really fast, right?
Yeah, to pass. Yeah, sweet. Okay.
So I figured I'd let you know I do have experience putting out a fire, just not a real
Good
fire.
job,
No.
Good for you. All right. You know what? Come on down to Melbourne. We'll take care of you. All right.
There
We'll
you
hire
go. There you go.
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, living in Cicero, Ohio, all my friends know I've been a longtime Bengals fan.
Right.
So now it's like, oh, they're finally doing good. It's about time kind of thing. But it's like, dude, how many NFC North championships do we have? Like over the past, let's say 12 years, like we've got plenty. Maybe we don't have the playoff wins, but we have a lot of AFC North titles, I guess. So that gets a little frustrating.
I mean, I'm just 2 hours from Cincinnati in Portsmouth, Ohio, and I'm telling you, like, over these 20 years, till here recently, it's Browns, it's Steelers, it's whatever. Oh, you're wearing your band. Like, I still always wore my Bengals stuff.
Oh yeah,
that's my team. Like, yeah. Yep. I'm like, next year's our year. And guess what? Eventually it happened, right?
That's what makes this even sweeter. Is people they hate it for whatever reason, but it makes this sweeter being longtime fans, where it's just like, yep, this is our time. And just like Kay Adams said the other day, like, why is Bengals not getting the respect they deserve? It's very strange. It's a very strange thing because the fan base is pretty big. Like it in Tampa, like Mon said, like you could hear the Who Dey chants through the TV. Like you could hear it in multiple different games.
That Buffalo playoff game.
Yes. It's been crazy. So it's not like the fan base ain't big. I don't understand what this disconnect is. And the same with the Hall of Fame stuff. Like it's very strange. It's strange. I don't understand it.
Well, look at the social media interaction too. You see all those stats that come out. The companies that monitor that. The Bengals are always in the top 3 or 4. And you got to salute the Bengals too. They've really taken it up a notch when it comes to outreach and getting fan interaction and all that. Yeah, but the Bengals have always had a great fan base. And I guess, with the social media and traveling, you're just seeing it a lot more now. And, at my class reunion last year, I'll never forget it. Somebody came up to me and they go, Mon, do you have any clothing that doesn't have a Bengal logo on it? I'm like, what does that mean? Of course not. But I'm just proud of it. I'm a proud Bengal fan, and I love representing.
Tom, you sound like my family members all the time when we get to a family get-together. That's just how I am and all that, Tom, Mon, I get the same thing.
I was like, did you call him Tom twice?
I think I called you Tom. Sorry.
I was like, man. Oh, man, I almost said the F one. Who the heck is Tom?
Sorry, Mon. Sorry.
No, it's all good. Mon and Lebanon, it's all good, man. Do what you got to do.
No, but like I say, I have family members that get on me. I have an uncle, man, who was a Reds fan in the 70s. He still likes to live by the Big Red Machine. I'm a fan of the Reds still, but I just got tired over the years how the Reds were mediocre for like the last 20 years, and they got a free pass because I have to hear, oh, well, look what they did in the past. But when the Bengals lost a playoff game, it's like, oh, same old Bengals, they're horrible. I'm like, wait a minute. So the Reds get a free pass, but the Bengals don't? Am I missing something here? That's what I just couldn't stand anymore.
I hear you. Yeah, I agree with you on that. It's
going
to be interesting to see what happens. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the stadium contract, too. That's another subject down the road, but I hope it doesn't get nasty. I hope it doesn't get nasty. What's that, Dusty?
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Oh, you guys already asked me this question, and I forgot what I said last time. I'm gonna say no, it's not.
No, you were on one time on. You're one of the only few people on my side, man. And
I'm gonna say no, it's not. It's not. It's
Greg, you've said it so many times now. When
it's because of McClain. It's because of a legal standpoint, Dale.
The Reds.
Legal stamp. I did it for a legal stamp.
Because we call him Matt McClain, the Reds rookie. We're like Die Hard McClain.
Did you call him Tom McClain?
No.
But no, Pork Chop said in the chat, it's hot in Florida, Greg. You better take a lot of milk because Greg went to the training camp a couple weeks ago, and that is when it was close to 100 here.
Yeah.
And Greg, like he's on the show after he gets home.
No.
And he said he went in his fridge and he chugged a half gallon of milk.
No. All right.
What do you want? Milk?
The fridge light was off, Dale. I grabbed the first thing I saw. It was a dark
fridge. But then once you taste milk, you just continue drinking it? That's serial killer stuff.
Yeah. Body Armor. Joe Burrow Body Armor.
No, I've been drinking Body Armor. Body Armor's awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
Greg, I will say this, man. I love some milk. My wife used to yell at me because I would drink about a gallon of milk every 2 days.
If you're
it was something sickening. Now, if I come in from weed eating, I'm not going to grab a gallon of milk. I'll probably grab me water and then sit down for about 5 minutes, and then I might get me a cold glass of milk. But, dude, cold glass of milk, it can hit different. So I wouldn't do it straight out from weed eating though.
We got
No,
two
no.
serial killers.
But
on
no,
here.
I'll tell you
Two
guys.
serial killers.
I'll tell you guys a funny story. I got in trouble with my dad one time. I was really thirsty one night, and I saw a bottle of wine in the fridge when I was living at home. I'm like, oh, this looks pretty good. I drank half that wine, and my dad, next day, he's like, Greg, did you drink that wine? I'm like, yeah, man, it was pretty good. He's like, Greg, that was a $500 bottle of wine you just drank. I'm like, well, for the record, man, it was pretty good, but I wouldn't pay $500 for it. But my dad was ready to kill me, and I wouldn't have blamed him.
Man, clip it. You got to clip this. That's a good story. You didn't even use it on your own show, Greg.
You're high class, Greg. You're high class.
No, I mean, but my dad, I had nothing to back myself up with, man. I would have killed myself. I would have killed me too, and all that. $500 for
I got you.
a bottle of wine.
Oh, you want to talk about John Ross? You told Mon about your John Ross jersey trade, right?
No. Okay, are you guys big into bourbon?
What's that? Big in bourbon?
Are you a bourbon guy?
I'm
But
not.
there's
got about
bourbons
3
that are
bourbons I like.
expensive,
Right.
right?
You know
guys
what
that.
Blanton's? Do you know what Blanton's is?
Blanton's?
Blanton's.
Yeah, Blanton's.
So you know it's hard to find, right?
It's expensive bourbon.
Expensive
You
bourbon,
know.
very hard to find. I sold 2 bottles of Blanton's at the actual price where I could have gotten $300. $60 is how much they were for sticker price, we're going to say, for a John Ross jersey.
Bad trade. It's a bad trade. Greg lost that trade, boys.
Buddy, that was the worst trade I made in my life.
That's like Mad Dog 2020 stuff, man.
Yeah. I wouldn't trade a Natty Light for a John Ross jersey.
I hear you.
Oh,
Oh man.
Yeah. But hey,
Dusty,
I gotta hop up
I got to take off.
alrighty. I'll
Hey,
see you
Dale,
guys. Greg, you want to stay
Greg.
on for a minute? You got on
I
late.
appreciate you guys. Had a blast.
Yeah, I could stay on for another 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay. Mom, thanks for coming on, man. Dale, thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks for
It was
having me.
fun.
A lot of fun, man. A
right
lot of
around
fun,
the corner.
guys.
Take care.
See you,
See
buddy.
ya.
Good day.
Oh, let me get.
So who was that?
There we go, Greg. What's up, Greg?
Not much. How you doing,
been,
bro?
man? Dude, I was
Just
feeling like you. I was outside mowing and weed eating today. I
Dude,
worked all night. And I'm a little tired now.
that's what I've been doing, man. Working like crazy, buddy. Man, I'm working outside, just weed killing every weed I see out. And we're like, when I take a walk around where I live, just drives me nuts, man. I see weeds growing up in the sidewalk, just drives me absolutely nuts. It's like I'm so focused on killing every single weed I see at work. I got a little walk down and sprayer I'm around with, and man, it just drives me nuts that I.
Those the weeds and ducks, man. You got
The duck thing that happened years ago, man. That happened years ago, and luckily no animals have been harmed ever since. At least I hope not.
Man, I remember. You know what a gopher is?
Do I ever?
Yeah. So back when I lived with my parents, I was mowing and there was gopher holes. We didn't have many. We had a dog that took care of most of them.
Right.
Was out mowing. This one popped up, and I'm like pretty sure I hit it. I don't know for sure because I didn't find it or anything. But it was right at its hole, and I'm just driving it because it kind of popped up, and I think it ducked back down. But I was just like, man, sometimes the old 22 was a lot of fun out there, but
Right.
I don't know if I can say that on YouTube.
No, it's cool, man. But yeah, no, man. I mean, like I say, Bengals preseason starts Friday and all that, man, and I can't wait, buddy. So as you probably know, huge Yossi Bosch guy, but I tell you what, man, I'm not the only one that thinks that. Peter Schrager's been saying it. He's been getting a lot of hype. I was a huge Yossi Bosch fan going into the draft, man. I mean, point blank. But Dusty, you do have a right to brag yourself because I saw some of your tweets. You were high on Chase Brown. You were big on Miles Murphy. So you had some bragging rights yourself, man.
Dude, thank you, Greg. There you go, man. I was high on both those guys coming out of the draft. And Miles Murphy was a guy that I wanted to slide. And Lucas Van Ness was honestly probably the guy I wanted more.
Right.
And he went really high. In between those two rushers were who I wanted. And
right.
Lucas Van Ness obviously went like around pick 15 or so. And I was fine with that. And I was like, Miles Murphy could be a dude that slides. And he did. And when he was there, I was like, no way are the Bengals finally going to get somebody that I was really high on. And last year, Dax Hill was somebody I liked. Would I say he was like my favorite pick?
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, it was like, okay, this would make sense. I can see Dax Hill and they took Dax Hill. There was other players. I really wanted George Karlaftis. He got picked right before us, which, it is what it is. But Miles Murphy this year, man, he's coming in, and I'm kind of like, you've been to practices, so you've seen them. But what makes me nervous is Trey Hendrickson extension. Now, Greg or Dale and Mon, they kind of said, I don't know if there's a correlation or if it's just appreciation for what Trey's done for us. And I kind of wonder that too. Is there a direct correlation or is it appreciation for Trey? And I think it's kind of both. Is Miles Murphy ready? But if you let Trey rest and you let Sam rest and you got Cam, you got Joseph Asai, like you let these guys all come in and have a good rotation, and then you have Miles Murphy as well, and you have I'm really big on oh man, now I'm going to forget his name, the Florida kid.
Zach Carter.
Zach Carter. Yes, I liked the Zach Carter pick last year. And dude, some of those guys, and obviously you got BJ and you have DJ Reader, but dude, that defensive front could be nasty. It really could.
So, Dusty, to add on to that, I'm glad you actually brought that up. So, Joe Goodberry, who I'm subscribed to, did a live Twitter thing on YouTube, and one thing that he said a bunch of little things, but one thing that really caught my attention is Miles Murphy was the only one at one point out there working with the DTs, and apparently they've been doing some third down packages with him lining up at DT, which I find very interesting because let's face it, Dusty, it's a loaded pass rushing room, which we need, but I'd be very interested to see how Miles Murphy would do lining up inside.
I would too. I really would. And I mean, the stuff we saw at rookie minicamp, dude looked, man, he just looked the part. He looked like a pro. And I don't know. I remember a couple clips and just seeing him moving around. And I was like, all right, this is the dude I wanted. And here we go. Let's see what happens. And I get it. It's going to be tough. We have some studs out there. But if you can keep our studs fresh and you have a guy that's a first-round dude with a first-round pedigree come out here and let him eat, do you remember Trey? Everyone talks about blackout Trey, but it was 2 years ago when we went to the Super Bowl. I think the Tennessee game where he's just sitting there on the bench and Evan kicks the field goal and they go to the AFC Championship game, and you see Trey, like, his arms are back. He's just sitting there and kind of puts his head up. He's exhausted, man. Like, the dude couldn't even get up to celebrate. Trey's kind of reserved at times, but like the dude literally couldn't get up to celebrate. Like, if you let this man be fresh and you let Sam be fresh, like, dude, it's exciting. Like, it really is. Like, I think the defense, and I honestly think with Lou, and we talked about this before you hopped on with Mon, like, the defense, like, are we really sending a lot of pressure? Like, our sacks were down. We had 30 sacks. And it's not a lot. It's not a lot of sacks, but our coverage was great. So is Lou's a defensive back coach? Do you think, he wants the coverage to be good and he's not worried about the pressure? Like, hey, or the sacks, get pressure and let the DBs make a play.
That's a good question, Dusty, because you look at Sam Hubbard, man. We used him as a linebacker at times and all that, man. But starting what you say, Trey Hendrickson. Let me go back a little bit here. I was at Paycor during draft night. Dusty, I guarantee you, 100% everybody thought it was going to be Michael Mayer. I was on the Michael Mayer train. I was 100% in on Michael Mayer. 100%. I didn't want to say I was mad. I was just totally surprised because I'm like, oh, this is just too perfect. He's a hometown kid. We need a tight end, blah, blah, blah. And we got Miles Murphy. I didn't want to say I was mad. I was just shocked, 100%, dead on shocked. But I said to myself, go into my car, I said, Greg, what was the first thing you said to yourself after losing that Chiefs game? I said, we didn't get any pressure on the quarterback. And like you said, like I said, Trey Hendrickson, the last 2 years with Hendrickson and Hubbard, one of those guys gets hurt, we're screwed. Pretty much. We are screwed. I'll give you another player if you remember. Do you remember a player named Wallace Gilberry?
Yeah, Wallace Gilberry. Yes.
Backup guy for Michael Johnson and Carlos Dunlap. Gave you 8 sacks. We did not have that. He was such an important part of our defense that year where you need to keep rotating guys out. We have that now with those guys. And in that. Now, Trey Hendrickson, what's that?
And Cam.
Yes, and Cam too. Yeah, and like I said also, so we have guys we can refresh and all that. And I'm going to tell you this also, man. After going to camp, you know how that one big guy that just stands out, Miles Murphy, man. If I had to compare somebody to the Terminator, it's Miles Murphy. Miles Murphy is he looks like Myles Garrett. If he put on Myles Garrett's,
oh my gosh!
If he put on Myles Garrett's jersey right now, I would have thought it was Myles Garrett. The thing,
I talked to Dale about it. I've talked to Dale about this on the phone.
Right.
And if I could record all my conversations, like that's why I'm trying to podcast, because I got a lot of good ideas up in this little brain of mine. And I'll say stuff, and I'm like, man, I should have. I wish this was out there. But I'm glad I have a couple tweets. I'm glad you remembered those tweets about Miles Murphy and them.
Well, I remember. And so, no, like I said, you were high on Miles Murphy, so I'll give you credit. You have some bragging rights. Like Yossi Vosh, I was very high on. And because like the reason I was a huge Yossi Vosh fan is I'm like, you don't have to rush this guy. This guy has great speed. I don't think we need to question his smarts or anything. This is not a big need, but this guy's too good to pass up. I mean, the fact that we got him in the 6th round just blew my mind away. And I'm a big fan of Charlie Jones too, but dude, I'm excited. I'm excited for just the depth we have in all these positions, man.
Oh yeah, dude, Yossi Vosh, man, that guy, his height, his speed, you can coach a lot of things. Now, at the professional level, I get it. Like, you have to be good. You have to be there. But there's things you can coach. You can't coach speed, and you can't coach your physical abilities, right?
Right.
And the dude has those. Like, he's physically a freak, and he has talent. Now, tie all that together, dude, he really could be something. And then Chuck Sizzle, Charlie Jones, man, he has the production. He played in the Big Ten. He's got all the stats that you'd like to see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the sky's the limit for these young guys. And he's learning with a great veteran in Tyler Boyd. Now, Tyler Boyd, it could be his last year. We all love TB. TB is like that dude. And I really think he is a reason that Jamar and T has made the progression they had. Mm-hmm. I think we all thought, when T came up, I was high on T, but I wasn't like super. I like Brandon Ayuk a lot. Like Brandon Ayuk was the guy when we was at pick 33. I kind of was like, dude, if we could trade back and get Michael Pittman or Brandon Ayuk, I was like, I'm cool with that. And then we took T, and I was like, man, I bet they take T Higgins. And it could have just been the way he performed against Ohio State that was kind of like had me feeling weird. But like, I don't know. But T, it was a great pick. Took it out. And if you took Brandon Ayuk, I don't know if you could. Brandon Ayuk's a dog too.
So Dusty, I'm glad you brought that up because he's doing a lot better. You know who my guy was? My guy was Denzel Mims. I wanted Denzel Mims so badly. A lot of people I know were high on him. But see, the thing is, I had to go back and say to myself, look at all the Baylor receivers that have gone to the NFL. Denzel Mims, Kendall Wright, Corey Coleman. But I was just so high on Denzel Mims. I was not fully excited. I was not fully excited about T. Higgins. I'm not going to lie to you. T. Higgins, I heard, was going to drop, according to some. But the thing of it, the knock on T was his 40. Let me tell you something, Dusty. The 40-yard dash. I mean, John Ross ran the fastest 40-yard dash ever. 40-yard dash ever. That doesn't mean anything because I want to be like, okay, well, how is he changing routes? How is he doing this? The 40-yard dash is so overrated. Don't get me wrong, it helps, but T didn't run that, and T, I think, is doing just fine.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I love T. I really do. I love Jamar, and I'm not saying but they're so different to compare them.
Right.
Like, it's so hard. And we seen what T did when Jamar was out 4 games.
Yes.
And he stepped up. Like, to me, he's a better AJ Green, and I love AJ.
Oh, yeah, me too.
And if you would take Jamar out of the equation, the numbers for T, I think, would be better. Now, was AJ maybe a better route runner? He was slimmer. I think he might have been a little quicker, about the same height. But I think T's different, man. I really want T to be back here. I do too. And another thing from Good Bears Podcast, I'm glad you brought that up. They are putting him in the slot for fade routes. Now, Dusty, I'll be honest, I am not a big fade route fan. I hate fade routes in the end zone. They never work. But I'm going to tell you this right now. T. Higgins is the best receiver. When you throw that 50-50 ball in the air, T. Higgins is the best receiver in the league, and I will debate that person. Mike Evans, maybe you could throw out, but T. Higgins is the best 50-50 ball receiver. And another thing to add on,
one guy we noticed that couldn't fill in when he was out, DJ Reader. I want to get.
We talked about this on Dale's show, man. 100%, I'm with you.
No, I mean, because we saw, like, when T was out, Jamar played well. When Jamar was out, we did just fine. But when DJ Reader was out, when he came back in, Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry both combined, both the top 2 rushers in the league. We held them to 50-something combined yards. You tell me if that was a coincidence.
Yes. No. Dude, DJ is different, man. He'll take on double teams and be off balance, and he's 300 and some pounds.
Right.
And be off balance and somehow push a guy and still fill the hole up and make a tackle. You don't see that. That's not normal. It's not normal. Like I'm not blowing smoke on how important this guy is. And you get them dudes that they're rare, and we have a rare breed of a guy. You keep that guy. It's just, I get it. He's going to be turned 30, whatever. Right. Give this man some money. Let him play. You can. There's so much contract manipulation you can do. And I'm not saying I'm great with contract manipulation, like understanding all that. But there's a lot of teams that do some weird stuff, and you're like, how in the heck do they have these guys? And it works out. You can do stuff. And I think the Bengals have shown with what they've been doing on the defensive side, they could. Now, are they going to do it with DJ? I don't know. I think a lot of it could depend on how some of our dudes perform. We've invested in the D-line, and I really haven't looked to this year's draft at who could be available at D-tackle, but there could be somebody they got their eyes on that could fall to us that they really like, and maybe, I don't know, but he is a difference maker. And having Logan and Jermaine, like the way those guys can fill up holes and come in, like they're kind of underrated in that. They're kind of looked at in their speed and the way they can guard receivers and tight ends and stuff, which is cool. Like, and we complained about that for years, but they also can fill in them holes, and they can blitz, and it's a lot of fun to watch them. So it's tough. Like, I don't know what I would do. You got to figure out the money. Duke's in a tough way, man, and it's a good thing for us Bengals fans to have these good players to try to figure it out.
So, that's a good thing you point out. DJ Ray, here's the problem. We're shying away from signing guys. When we gave Geno Atkins and Dunlap those third contracts in their 30s, I think that scared the hell out of us. But DJ Reader, you have to make an exception for it. And, like, you know what? I was asked, I think Dale asked us, I forget what show I was doing yesterday, but who matters more, T or DJ? And you think about it, it's a lot closer than you think. I did say DJ. I want to keep both, but DJ, man, I'm telling you this, man. I understand we don't want to pay a guy that much money in 30s, but you can bet this. It just takes one team, and there will be at least one team out there willing to pay him all that money. That's all I'm going to say. My
thing is, I really think if we don't extend T, I think we'll give him the franchise tag. With DJ, like, you got to figure a way to keep both of them for another year. If you can do that, we that's back-to-back Super Bowls. In my eyes, you have Jamar and T. You have this team. Like, look at that draft class. Like Joe, T, Logan, and then fourth round was that Michael Bailey, or is that the year before?
Marcus Bailey was our 6th round pick. No, wait. Marcus Bailey was the year after with Chase, and then it was. Oh crap! It was like you said, Cho.
That was Akeem Davis Gaither, and then we had.
That's right, and I was a big Akeem. I'm still a huge Akeem Davis Gaither fan. I thought I was ready for him to be the next big guy because I thought Pratt was gone. I thought Akeem Davis Gaither was going to fill in, and I'm still an Akeem Davis Gaither fan because I'm telling you, man. Excuse me. When they went up against Lamar, he's a fast linebacker. They had him play mid-zone guarding Lamar, midfield and all that, and that scheme worked well against Lamar. I still think Akeem Davis Gaither can be used in certain situations.
Oh, me too. I like him. Like, the dude is athletic. He is a freak. Like, out of Appalachia State, dude, he was a guy I was really high on. I didn't have Twitter back then. I wish I did because I'd be a little more recognizable. But it was a guy I was definitely wanting. And do you remember Nick Vigil? Do you remember the old spin move?
Oh God, no, dude, that was the biggest highlight reel for Lamar ever. I was actually high on Nick Vigil, but dude, man, oh my God.
Yeah, I think Nick Vigil could be. I mean, he could be used in this team now as a secondary player, but
Right.
or not secondary as in secondary, but as a second string player.
Right.
But he wasn't it, man. And I think we got the guys there, and we complained about linebacker for years, ever since Ray and Vontaze Burfict. And I'll still say this. I've said it before. I know you've heard me say it. If Vontaze Burfict was on any other team, if he was on Pittsburgh or on the Ravens, this dude would be just an all-pro. Everyone rave about him.
Oh yeah.
And it's just funny the weird shade that people throw to him. And it's like, dude, if he played in a different era, this guy could have been recognized as a Hall of Famer as an undrafted free agent. Like he played. Yes, there were some plays you're just like, dude, come on, man. But there was also plays where you're like, this guy, during against the Steelers in that playoff game, he would have been the MVP of that game.
Right.
If we won that game, he would have been the MVP.
Oh, absolutely. You know, people when people keep telling me, oh, Pac-Man and Burfict, Lewis, Pac-Man, I don't blame at all. Joey Porter, people forget.
Joey he wasn't even allowed on the field.
Offensive coordinator, the offense, defense, and the coaches allowed on the field. Joey Porter was the linebackers coach, got on that field, and Pac-Man, obviously I know he overreacted a little too much, but he had a right to react, and Joey Porter got away with that. That ticked me off. You know how we lost the game, Dusty? Jeremy Hill fumbling the ball. If he didn't fumble the ball, we would have won that game. But I don't want to hear people blame Pac-Man and Burfict at all ever again. Because of them, we were in that game.
100. We should have
100%.
won the game because of them.
We should have won the game, 100%, man. And nothing against Jeremy Hill. I know fumbles happen, but I mean, come on,
just go down.
Just go down, man. Stay like Mickey says in Rocky, just stay down and all that and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But going back to today's team, I want to talk about the safeties a little bit, because the safeties we did not hear from at all during camp. Now, sometimes no news is good news, but from what I heard, or listened to Goodberry's thing also, Dax Hill's been playing the Trey Flowers role, and Nick Scott, the free agent we got from the Rams, has been playing deep safety, and Jordan Battle has come in at times in for Jermaine Pratt for a 3 safety thing. So that's the biggest mystery I have is the safeties right now, because we just don't know anything about them.
So the promising thing that I have from Dax Hill was I liked him a lot coming out. I liked his athletic ability. I liked his speed. I liked his size. Now, I mean, is his size? He's not like a freakishly huge, but he's an average dude for the NFL. So I like that. If you watched him last year in the preseason, I thought he looked good. I was like, he broke up a couple passes or pass in the end zone. Like when he had the opportunities, he looked good. We moved him around a lot in the season when he did get limited playing time. He was playing somewhat out of position. So, he's versatile. So you got to give him that. He's versatile. He's got the things that you want to see. So we'll see. Lou's a defensive back coach by nature. So if anybody's going to get this guy to the standard that we need him to be, it's Lou. And I think we got the pieces. I think our cornerback room is great, and I think the defensive back room as a whole he will figure it out, and he'll get the best players there. My question is, how many are we going to keep? Because between receivers and defensive backs, man, we're kind of loaded, and somebody's going to get somebody from us that's going to be a steal, and we're going to have to take away from a different position. And our linebackers are solid. Like you got obviously the big two. Then we have Marcus Bailey. We have Akeem Davis Gaither. Clay Johnson, right? Is Clay Johnson still with us? Or am
I have to recheck, but I think he is. But Clay Johnson, he's certainly not forgotten about.
Yeah, he had a big play against Tennessee. Like we've got guys in these different positions.
Right.
And the defensive line is pretty stacked now. The offensive line, our starters and our backups, like we're deep, man. Like I don't think we've been this deep in years.
Well, Dusty, not only are we deep, but we're deep at the positions you want to be deep in. Defensive line, You want to be deep at defensive line. You want to be deep at corner. That's where not only we're deep at the position receiver. I mean, we use 3 receivers. You want to be deep. You want to have a bunch of running backs. That's where not only are we deep, like you just said, but we're deep in the positions you want to be deep at. And so but I tell you what, man, out of everything we got this offseason, you know what our biggest free agent this offseason? Getting Lou back 100%.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Getting Lou Anarumo back was our biggest offseason. Maybe even bigger than Orlando Brown. I'll make that a tie because that was just too awesome. But Lou Dini, man, see, that's my biggest fear. Because say if Lou left and all, because some of these guys Lou used. I mean, for example, Eli Apple. I'm happy that he's getting a shot down in Miami, but because I thought to myself, if a Dolphins fan asked me about Eli, as much as I want to say he'd be a good fill-in, not a great replacement for what's his name that got hurt, but I don't know how he's going to do in a different system because.
Exactly.
Lou Anarumo has a completely different type of system he does. I don't know if Eli Apple's going to fit that system or not.
Dude, I agree with that. And I honestly wanted Eli to come back.
I did too.
Like, I was very vocal on that. Like, I wanted Eli back.
Right.
And the reason being is he was not supposed to be a number 3 cornerback. He was supposed to be like maybe 4 or 5-ish on our depth chart.
Right.
And he came in and he played himself into that role. And that speaks volumes. For one, it speaks volumes of the team, his teammates, people around him, and getting him either confidence or whatever. But it's that culture we always talk about. But also Lou, he used him to his abilities. He gave him confidence once again. And dude, I would have loved. I really think I would rather had him than Sidney Brown. I would have rather brought him back than Sidney Brown.
You know what? I can see why they brought Sidney Brown in because they think they can reinforce him. The problem with Sidney was his injury, so that's the only thing that concerns me a little bit. But Eli, I know people didn't like Eli talking this stuff. That didn't bother me. People keep telling me, oh, Eli was terrible. He did a great job as a number 1 corner, I thought. For what he had to do, I thought he did a hell of a job coming in as a corner number 1. When Cheeto went down, a lot of people I was freaking out, but Eli did a great job coming in.
100%. So Darth, he said, I'm still on T over Reader. If the one we let walk signs with the Chiefs or Bills, who scares you more to face? It's a good question. But honestly, I would say T would scare me more if he played for the Bills than DJ, just because we're a passing team, right?
Right. Yeah, probably so.
So if you give away that passer,
right,
or you give away that receiver to another team that's going to pass the ball and sling that rock, and you have Stephon Diggs and you have not Gibson, what the heck's that guy's name?
Oh, Gabriel.
Gabe Davis. Yeah. Gabriel Davis.
Gabe Davis. Yeah.
So you have Gabe Davis, and then you have T, that. Dude, that's pretty damn stout. And we're not a running team, so I don't know. Yeah, I agree with that.
I will say this: if Reader went to the Chiefs with Chris Jones, look, I'll say this: if Chris Jones wasn't on the Chiefs would have one of the worst defenses in the league. Chris Jones single-handedly made that Chiefs defense good. As much as I want to say that Chris Jones, I don't know why. I said, why is this guy wanting us a big contract? But when you really think about it, man, he is that defense. He single-handedly beat the Bengals. Lining up all over he went up against Keem David Adeniji. When you're that good of a defense player like J.J. Watt was, we can line up because J.J. Watt,
Simmons, man, look what Jeffrey Simmons
exactly.
did with Tennessee.
When you're that good, you line up. The coach says, look, you want to line up where you think is best. I mean, Chris Jones deserves to get paid more. I'm sorry to say that, but he does because without him on the Chiefs, that defense is not worth anything.
No. Dude, he is different. So I asked this question. I think you were on the show with Dale, but this was one of our first shows on Bengals Army, where we were just kind of BSing and talking about a player that we wanted to bring back. My player was Geno Atkins, and I asked it on Dale's show probably a couple months ago, and I forget some of the. Well, Dale said he would bring back Anthony Munoz. So if he could get Orlando Brown to play right tackle, which super cool. that would be very impressive. Like that line would be unreal if that worked out. But I in more of a recent time frame, in Orlando Brown wanting to play left tackle, things would be a little different. But dude, Geno kind of paved the way, and nobody talks about the Geno Atkins effect. Like Geno was a huge outlier, his size, but his strength. Like the dude paved the way for a lot of these kind of small. And I really don't know Chris Jones's size and stats and stuff.
Right.
But the dude who plays for the Rams, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name.
Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald.
Just keep talking. Hold on.
Okay.
Keep talking.
But yeah, Aaron, dude, if I could, and I want to hear people in the chat. This is our first live show, so if there's anybody listening in the chat, man, I would like to hear who you guys. There it is. Look at that. That's a beauty right there, bud.
Dude, that was my first choice. I mean, can you imagine Geno and Reed are both in their primes, man? I mean, Geno paved the way for Aaron Donald. Geno was good. Now, Aaron Donald may be the best. I never thought anybody would ever top off Warren Sapp. I'm like, there's no way nobody's going to be better than Sapp. That was proven wrong. But Geno started that whole effect. I remember he was too small. I just remember him. I'll tell you a play that just defied Geno. We were playing the Miami Dolphins on a Thursday night game. That's when they had Tannehill as their quarterback. So they weren't that good. And we weren't really that good either that year. But anyway, Geno goes up against these big mammoth guard. He pushes him all the way back, bumps him into Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill falls to the ground, and Geno just taps him on the shoulder pretty much. I'm like, that right there defied Geno. Geno would just push these mammoth 6'5", 6'6" guards back into the quarterback. And Steve Young even said himself, I'd rather have someone blitz me from the side than from the inside.
Yeah.
Dude.
Leverage is something. And Geno was a beast at understanding his leverage, getting underneath people, and just driving. And his bull rush was I'm lost for words. I can't put into words what I want to say. I'm not as articulate as a lot of these podcasters are, but the dude was amazing. And I really wish he would get the recognition he deserves because I'm a huge Geno fan.
Well, see, Dusty, the Ring of Honor, he's not going to get it for years. And Geno, I almost think we need to do what we did with Willie Anderson. We need to get Geno in the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion. But I think of it is, like I've heard you say on other shows, you got to let the older guys in first. They need to get 6 or 7 guys in the next couple of years. I know that's crazy to say, but like Geno, man, Geno's going to have to wait for maybe another almost 15 years to get in, which is crazy.
Well, that's why you was on the show with Dale when we was talking about it, and I said I wish we would put in more players,
right?
Like front load it. Like I'm not saying for 10 years put in 4 players or 3 players, but I'm saying like the first 5 years, let's put in like 3 to 4 players.
Yeah,
and that's somewhat of an unpopular opinion because I've heard from some people saying they wouldn't like that, but. I think it'd be great. Get the guys that deserve to be in there. Get them in there because they should have been there years ago. So it's not fair, like to do 2. And I'm extremely grateful for the Bengals doing this. The organization finally doing this Ring of Honor thing, but it's something that should have been done a while back. And then you tie that in with doing 2 a year now. And I think the first year we did 3 or 4, which was great, but. We should have. I think we should have continued that, like a 3 to 4 range for 5 years. Front load these dudes in here. Get the guys that deserve to be there, like Dave Lapham. Like I 100% believe Dave Lapham should be in there. Montoya. Like I can't believe I forget his name. The tight end.
You're thinking of Ronnie Holman. Is it Ronnie Holman?
Not true. Starts with a T.
Trumpy. You're thinking of Trumpy. The announcer.
Trumpy,
78 years old, man. I mean, look, I'm happy Chad got in. You and I are both happy Chad Boomer. Those guys are well deserving, but I mean, some of these other guys, man, and Corey Dillon. I'm just going to speak on Corey Dillon.
Lamar Parrish was my guy.
Right.
Like there's older dudes. Like let's get these older cats in, man.
Right.
And let's let them appreciate. Just like CD said, like. Corey Dillon, I can remember, like, I loved the Bengals because of Corey Dillon and Chad Johnson. Like, I was young, man. I was like 10 years old. And I grew into it because family and stuff.
Right.
But you start watching them, it's like, man, these guys aren't that good.
Right.
Like, man, I wish my family liked a different team, but whatever. Like, I'm just a loyal guy where I like, I stick to what my family likes, and then whatever. And that makes this time sweeter. And I said that before. It makes this even sweeter being from what years and like, I'm a 90s baby, bro. Like, and going through that and seeing it, and then you see these dudes like coming up, and you're like, they played for bad teams, but they were good players. Like Willie Anderson, dude. Like Willie Anderson, arguably the best right tackle in history. Like he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and to not get the recognition is unreal. And you have guys vouching for him that played against him. Like, this guy he deserves to be in, and for whatever reason gets passed over. It blows my mind. Isaac Curtis has similar stats to multiple different people that are in the Hall of Fame, but for some reason he's not in there. Doesn't make sense to me.
They made a rule called the Curtis. Curtis would have fit in today's game easily because he was so fast. But like back in the day, you're allowed to push guys down or pass interference more these days. Because Curtis, what they said, was just so unfair. They had a thing called but they had to invent a rule called the Curtis rule because Curtis was just so fast. But it just, or like, I was talking to a friend of mine, Dan Fouts. I think he's not even, the Bengals beat the living credit. He never made it to the Super Bowl. He's in the Hall of Fame. Kenny Anderson made to the Hall of Fame, MVP. He won 4 passing titles in the NFL.
Yeah.
Tell me. Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. It's weird. It's a very strange thing. In Kay Adams said, I said a little bit ago, like Kay Adams, excuse me, she said, I don't understand why people are talking about the Browns, or talking about the Ravens, or talking about the Steelers. Like, look at the Bengals, man. What more do they have to do? Like, I don't get it. Like, it's year in and year out. Remember the drafts? How many times did commercials pop up when the Bengals were drafting?
All the time.
It was all the time. It's like, what is going on? Like, who got somebody mad? Like, somebody made somebody mad. Like, I don't get.
Browns can win the offseason all they want. They want to keep winning the offseason, go for it, because I just don't care anymore. I'm not going to lie to you. When they got Odell Beckham, I thought that team was going to win the Super Bowl, man. That was one of the worst days of my life and all that when they got Odell Beckham. Dusty, the Browns just drive me nuts. Cleveland fans just drove me nuts and all that and stuff. I know people talk, but here's the thing with the Steelers. They've won Super Bowls, but the Browns fan, like, what do you guys have to talk about the last 20 years? Like, when people came at us for drafting Joe Burrow, like, why would anybody want to play for the Bengals? Why didn't anybody tell Baker Mayfield that when they're on their, 23rd quarterback? At least we had. I know I'm not saying Dalton's a Hall of Fame guy or anything, but at least he played for us for 10 years. And Carson Palmer at least played for us a good amount of time. We at least went through our 4th quarterback, so that's pretty damn good, I think.
Right. And John Kitna wasn't that bad.
No, I liked Kitna. Kitna.
Like, Kitna, then you move on in Palmer, which obviously, like, Palmer was a beast, man. Like, he really was. Like, people can hate on him all they want. But the Bengals organization was different at that time frame. Like, it's not ran the same as it was. Like, I can understand his frustration. Now, some of the things, like, I can understand why people would be mad at the way he went out and different things. I get that. Like, I do. But he was a good player. And then you have Andy, and dude, Andy was a 2nd round pick. Like, what did we think we was going to do in 2011? Like, nobody thought the Bengals were going to do anything in 2011. It was a weird year, and Andy comes in, and this is what makes me feel bad for AJ Green is if AJ had Joe Burrow.
Oh my God!
Could you, like, honestly, like AJ? Like I said earlier, T. Higgins is a bigger, stronger AJ. But AJ was different. He was just different at the same time. Like, look at the Browns game where he had 4 defenders just hanging all over him. He's like,
pull
that ball in. It's like, dude.
Yeah. AJ got hurt a couple times because of bad throws by Andy. But the thing of it is, that 2011 you brought up, a lot of people forget about this. They were going on strike that whole offseason.
Yes.
Free agency happened after the draft. Andy, think about this, man. Andy had no time to prepare. He was a rookie quarterback. That's hard enough. He wasn't even allowed to be in contact with his teammates or anything for that whole offseason, not till it started in July. He had nothing to work with. The ESPN had a joke going on. we don't know if the season's going to start, but we do know this: the Bengals will go 0-16. We went 9-7 that year, made the playoffs, dude. You could argue that was maybe one of the best seasons they ever had because they shocked everybody to surprise. I remember Browns were like, "Oh, Colt McCoy looks like Brett Favre out there. Colt McCoy's going to lead them to the promised land," and all that. I remember they were all over the Browns. I'll never forget, dude. So that was one of the best seasons ever for the Bengals. I mean, like, obviously, wasn't my favorite season of all time, but that was one of the best. Just coming off that strike that was going on the whole offseason, that was incredible.
Dude, 100% agree. And just the fact that when we played the Colts, I don't know if we had a starting wide receiver healthy at that time. Do you remember that? AJ was hurt. Marvin Jones was hurt. I think Sanu was hurt.
Oh, that playoff game against the Colts, dude. Everybody was hurt that game. We were just hurt, banged up. That's when Andrew Luck, we didn't have a chance. I think deep down inside, we all knew we didn't have a chance winning that game. It was at Indy. Andrew Luck was still Andrew Luck. So, that's what that's it. But I thought you were going to bring up the one Colts game I was at one time when they had Carter Sperry as their quarterback. I remember we were trying to win the game. Big fumble came out. Carlos Dunlap got it, ran into the end zone for a touchdown. I was actually at that game. Yeah. Not as exciting as the Sam Hubbard touchdown. The game I was at. That was a little bit. That was just a wee bit better. But no, man. I mean, but like I said, Andy, I've ripped on Andy. If I had my frustrations with Andy, yeah. But you know what, Andy. But like what you say with AJ Green, if he had just an even better, if he had Joe Burrow, AJ Green would have been probably where Justin Jefferson is.
Oh, 100%. I think he would have been above JJ. Like, the dude, he came out and what was it, like 5 straight Pro Bowls? Like, and I'm not saying Andy was a bad quarterback, but he had a good offensive line, a really good offensive line. He had a good tight end. He had a good running game. He had a good defense, honestly. Like, the defense was great. Like, Andy didn't have to do a lot. Mm-hmm. And I'm not hating on Andy Dalton. Like, I think Andy Dalton, for a second-round pick, I think he did just fine, but he wasn't able to elevate. Like, he just reached his potential, and that's what he was. Yeah. And when you had 3 good receivers, like, you had Marvin Jones, Mohamed Sanu, and AJ. Like, those were some good receivers, man. And then you have Tyler Eifert, and you have the line we have. You have the running backs, like Cedric Benson. You had the Wall Firm. Like, we had some good, really good players. Giovanni Bernard. Like, dude, it was a good team. But if you put a Joe Burrow in that, how many Super Bowls do you think we would have won? At least one. No.
That's a good question. All right. So what? Probably we had a shot at winning 2 at least. I think we had a shot at, like, I don't know, Super Bowls, but we would have had a shot at least winning 2. I can guarantee you that. It's funny you say that. Mike Zimmer, I thought there's no way anybody would ever top off Mike Zimmer, but Lou Anarumo, man, here's the thing. 2 different defensive coordinators. I think Mike Zimmer's more of an old style guy. He was better at getting to the quarterback. But Mike Zimmer had better players at the time, I think. Because Mike Zimmer got here, I think that this team was just kind of getting ready to come along. Lou Anarumo started out with nothing. He just started out with absolutely nothing, pretty much. But then they let him get the guys he wanted. I'm going to say, man, I'm going to go ahead and say this. I like Lou better just because the scheme Lou does, the way Lou can adjust. That's the thing with Mike Zimmer and all that. He's still stuck with his game plan. But Lou Anarumo, man, in the second half, completely changed everything. He threw everybody off guard. I still like Mike Zimmer, but I got to go Lou.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I love Zim, dude.
Right.
Mike Zimmer, and he was adult. Like, dude, you see some of them old clippings.
Oh, no. Did you ever watch Hard Knocks with Mike Zimmer?
Dude, what's that?
Did you ever watch Hard Knocks when Mike Zimmer was? Yeah, I liked it when they were playing the Falcons and they were going up against the running quarterback and they didn't keep him in the pocket. He's like, I told you guys all this guy runs. I just love Mike Zimmer, man. But like, he had the players' respect. Mike Zimmer had their respect, and that's what I loved about Mike Zimmer. And you know what? I wish he would have became our head coach. Well, I'm nothing against Marv, but both times I would have had Mike Zimmer and Hugh Jackson over Marvin as the head coach. I'm not knocking Marvin, but when Hugh Jackson, when Zimmer left us, Zimmer did a good job. But when Hugh Jackson left us to coach the Browns, I honestly thought he was going to take the Browns to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Dude,
obviously that didn't happen.
Hugh was this offensive guru that
Right.
was. Could you imagine having Hugh in Mike Zimmer in Lou as your defensive backs coach and bringing Zach in as the head coach and just forming this team? That would have been, because I mean, I think Brian Callahan's great, but I think Brian Callahan and Zach, I think they feed off each other. I think they're a tandem. I think Zach's kind of running it, and we've always said that. And it's nothing against Brian Callahan.
Yeah.
And he's still young. That makes a little difference. Like, he's still a younger dude.
Well, Dusty, I'll put it this way. I'm not going to cry as much. Nothing against Callahan, but I'm not going to cry as much with Callahan as I will with Lou, because Lou runs the defense. Who still calls the plays on offense?
Yeah, exactly.
Zach, exactly. I mean, and Zach, man, you know what? I gotta get off here soon. But one thing about Zach is this is one thing I was really confused with some Bengals fans, because we wanted somebody not affiliated with the organization, nobody from the Marvin Lewis era. I know Hugh Jackson was interviewing. Nothing against him. I wanted to start completely over. But when we got Zach Taylor, I get it. He was a known at the time, but I'm like, didn't we all just want somebody not affiliated with the organization or anything? And Zach, man, let me tell you something. He went to there was a get together to introduce Zach Taylor. Dusty, only like 10 or 15 people showed up. It was embarrassing. I guarantee it would be 10 or 15 people today. Yeah, but I'm telling you, man, he comes up. I'm like, okay, he's probably, because like Marvin was always that like, oh, I got to come here and do this. And I thought Dusty was going to go straight to the podium and leave. He came right up to me and said, "Hi, what's your name?" I'm like, "Oh, you're talking to me?" And like, he shook his hand, took my picture with him. Dude, you can tell this guy was serious. He wanted to recruit the fans back. I was rooting for him so much. I mean, and you see that what he's doing now, man, talking to the fans, just doing all this. I mean,
I was talking about that earlier.
Logan Wilson, what did he say was the main reason he came back?
He wanted to play for Zach.
Yeah. So Zach, I mean, like I say, and when Joe Burrow said, "I want Zach here," that's all you need to hear.
Yeah, dude, Zach is a big difference maker. Greg, if you'll be on here for about 5 more minutes.
Yeah, I can give you 5 more minutes, yeah.
Okay. I got to let my dog out real quick. If there's anything you want to talk about, feel free to talk about either players you want to watch this off. I know you're a big Andre Yosimoff fan, so if you want to talk about him, because that's coming up real soon,
right?
Or whatever you want, man, feel free to talk about. But I gotta let the dog out.
Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do, buddy. So yeah, like I say, I'm big on Yossi. I was really, I got high hopes for him. I mean, this Friday's preseason game, I know a lot of fans are going to be there because it's preseason, but honestly, this is the most excited I've ever been for a preseason game, just because of all the depth we have. Like I was telling Dusty, the defensive line, I can't wait to see what a bunch of them do. The safeties. 3 new safeties. Obviously, we would have liked to have either Von Bell or Jesse Bates back. But you know what? You can't keep everybody. And like I said, with Lou Anarumo, I'm totally fine with this. Jordan Battle, I mean, you saw captain of Alabama. What more do we need to say? When you're a captain of a school like Alabama, that's all I need to hear right there. I mean, that's just incredible. Nick Scott, well-respected with the Rams. Won a Super Bowl with them. We all know he won one because it was against us. But Dax Hill, still remember that last year, a lot of people criticized Dax Hill, be like, "Oh, why we don't need a safety?" Look how much it matters now, signing Dax Hill. So the safeties, I'm really going to be interested in watching Friday. Now, the question is, I know a lot of people are asking, are we going to play the offensive line? I have no idea, but if it was my decision, I would have liked them to play maybe at least 1 or 2 series. That way they just to get them ready to go. That's just my personal opinion. Now, should we play guys like Higgins, Chase, and Boyd? No, because I know we all know what Higgins, Chase, and Boyd are going to be doing. So why do we even need to play them? Maybe they play a series. I don't know, but it better be a quick series for all I can tell you. You know what? In that case, I hope they drop all 3 passes so we can get them hell off the field as fast as we can. So, yeah.
Yeah, I caught the end of that, man. I I don't think we need our stars to play. Like when you're talking about a championship team,
Right.
these guys know what it takes, right? Like
Yeah.
we're talking about guys that play 4 weeks after the season.
Right.
Like season's done for everyone else. They got 4 weeks that they're playing at top tier championship level. Do they need to play in the preseason? Like I'm not saying like, is it good? Yes, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
But the risk reward factor, like everything has a risk and everything has a reward. If everybody came out of it perfectly healthy, no worries, you just don't know that. If you knew the future, then I would play I'd play the lottery and pick some numbers and be, have a lot of money I'd share with all Bengals Army fans. I'd just spread the wealth, man. I'd feed everybody. But guess what? We don't know the future, and freak things happen. We've already played multiple games, like Orlando Brown. He went to the Super Bowl. The year before that, we went to the Super Bowl. We went to the AFC North or the AFC Championship game. Like these guys have played multiple games that other teams haven't. So we have that experience. And tell me who on the offensive line didn't get those extra three or 4 weeks.
And Dusty,
there's nobody.
And Dusty, not to play conspiracy theory here, if we ever have a preseason game ever in Detroit ever again, nobody's going on that field. I'll give you 2 reasons. Kajana Carter, first round pick we actually traded up for, got hurt at Detroit in the preseason. You might not remember this guy, Kenny Irons, who I had high hopes for coming out of Auburn in the year 2006.
Okay.
Got hurt at Detroit in the preseason. Never played again. So if we ever have a game ever Detroit again, nobody is setting a foot on that field ever.
Greg, dude, I 100% agree with that. But your fandom, I remember the other day, Dale and them were talking about it, dude. You're an awesome fan. I know, and and we all know. I don't have a bunch of followers yet, and I greatly appreciate you and everyone else coming on here.
My pleasure.
It means a lot to me. I know we've met and talked and BS'd and had a good time. You're a super great dude, man.
My pleasure, buddy.
But definitely a great fan, man. Hopefully you get the fan of the year. And I know you're too humble to say you want it or whatever, but I know you're gonna laugh, dude. But honestly, you know me, blue collar dude, just a guy that loves the grind, loves working this method, and I'm super just respectful to guys that are invested like that. And so if you wanted me, I'd be so happy for you. I just had to throw that out there when, for whatever reason, when you said Detroit, it triggered like next year's draft. And I was like, oh shoot.
So maybe we shouldn't even go to the draft next year. I didn't think about that till now, man.
Dude,
No,
Dusty, when you said that, I just started
that didn't even cross my mind until now.
No, because you were like, dude, they play.
Well, I'm just saying, man. That didn't even cross my mind. I mean, maybe we shouldn't even have a representative there for the draft. Know what can happen, man. But no, but yeah. Anyway, man, I got to get off. Dusty, hey, congrats on your show, man. You keep up what you're doing, okay, buddy?
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Like I said, thank you for coming on. Thanks to everyone else. We'll be logging off. Greg, if you want to plug your stuff, man, I know you got a couple different shows. You're always on Dale's show. You got your own.
Yeah. But no, Dusty, it was a pleasure coming on, man. And you take care, man, and you keep it up, buddy, okay?
I will. Thank you so much, man.
See you, bro.
See ya. All right, guys. That was a long show. As you can tell, I'm getting a little sunburn. I was outside working. I was mowing and weed eating. Felt good, but I'm getting tired. I'm going to go to bed. Thank you for everybody that tuned in. And when I say go to bed, I know it's early. It's 7:00, but I work night shift, so I'm getting tired. But thanks for everybody that's tuned in, either tuned in live for our first live show, which was interesting and fun. I don't even know if I worked her out right, so hopefully it worked. And if you guys catch us at the YouTube and the pre-recorded stuff, we're super thankful. Sorry it's been a few weeks since we've recorded, but yeah, we've been busy, got a lot of stuff going on, but with the season coming up and everything going on, we definitely appreciate everybody. Darth, thank you, great show. Who day, man, who day to you, Darth. We're going to start definitely doing more live shows. I love the interaction with people. I love seeing the comments. We've had a few comments. So Pork Chop, Ross. I know there's some people up here, but yeah, thank you guys, David. Everyone that's commented, everyone that's watched, man. We're super grateful, super thankful. We're just a bunch of fans. Mon and Dale, super good dudes, really good friends of mine. Glad to have them to come on and BS and talk to us. Uncle Mike, pull you up, man. Great show, brother. Houday Doll. Yes, Houday, man. Super grateful for you guys. And honestly, what we're wanting to do in the future is have more live shows and pull up people, other fans, and just put a link out and just BS, just talk to everybody. So if you guys keep watching us randomly, we'll do our shows and stuff. We're going to be a lot more interactive, but it's hard. We got a lot of different things going on in the summertime to keep us busy, and I know a lot of you guys are busy, but with season coming around, we'll have hopefully a lot of content coming out and a lot of opportunities to interact with everybody. So if anybody ever wants to hop on the show, just DM us and send us questions, because that makes the show run a lot better. Where we can get random questions and we don't have to think of the questions ourselves, because I'll run out of ideas, and the other guys, Tony and Chris, man, we'll run out of talking points, and when we have other people jump in and give us suggestions, it makes everything run better. So yeah, appreciate all of you. Houday, season's right around the corner, so looking forward to that. And also we have we got fantasy football. So I was wanting to do a fantasy football episode. I don't know if that'll happen, and I don't know if I want to do it, honestly, because if I do a fantasy football episode, I got a few friends and I'm in a couple different leagues. So all my buddies, they're going to sit there and see me talking about draft picks. They're going to either cop my people or whatever. So I don't want that. So I'm debating on pulling some people up, and that might be my strategy. Now I'm thinking I might pull up some of my buddies that are in my fantasy football leagues and have them come on the show, and then see who they want, and then I'll be able to maybe sweep some people out, or just be like, dude, that's a silly pick, that's a dumb pick. But yes, I'm trying to read some messages. I'm not going to do that right now while I'm live, but yeah, appreciate everybody. If you guys would give us a follow, give us a like, give us some comments, tell your friends, tell other Bengals fans about us. We're not doing this to get any sort of huge recognition or anything. We just really want to interact with other Bengals fans. So we appreciate everybody for their time, and definitely appreciate Dale and Mon and Greg, and we've had Zim, we had AC, Anthony Kazenza on. We've had a good bit of people, and we're fairly new at this, so forgive us for our maybe not our best transitions and different things, but we're just some fans having fun. So we definitely appreciate everybody, and we're thankful for everyone listening. Houday, see you guys. If I can end the podcast. Like I said, technical difficulties, man. I'm trying to end it, and I can't even end the show. This is why I need the other guys on to help me out. And this is our first live show, so if you guys are watching, finally did a live show. It was a lot of fun. Love the interaction. So hopefully everybody continues to interact with us. Hopefully get more interaction. We'll pull more people in. So Thank you guys. Hoo day. See you later.